Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello people and welcome to Footy Judge Mo. Liverpool give Arsenal hope by losing to Plymouth in the cup. It's not the league, the last team in the championship, of course. Liverpool lost yesterday to Plymouth in a surprise exit from the FA Cup. The quad is not on. You can't actually do the quad now. A lot of Liverpool fans are using Arsenal terms, bigger fish to fry. We have lived to see it. Liverpool fans who mocked Arsenal 2 years ago. Now they're using bigger fish to fry. I can name names, but you guys know who said bigger fish to fry. A lot of Liverpool fans are being negative, like Hussam, who said you called me negative. But listen, that's what happened. Chelsea are out of the FA Cup. Maresca's under questions. Don is deflecting on Saeed. Rams was there. We all watched it. Don is deflecting, talking about the summer, of course. Big up Don, big up Saeed TV and all the panel there. That was a fantastic and a great show. Of course, if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It was absolutely phenomenal, amazing. And last but not least, which is why we did the show for 3 reasons. Why are Arsenal fans upset that fucking Arteta took the team to Dubai? Why is everyone making a fuss about it? It's absolutely crazy, people. There are a lot of people are saying you're rewarding the players. We'll talk about that. We'll know what it means. But listen, hit that like button, people. Staffy will join us momentarily. But all these guys, channels in the description. Of course, Rory talks football. Of course, Dan with his channel. Tom Little, of course, he couldn't be here today, but we upgraded with 2 that are each and every one of them is better than him. Of course, Roms is here, Fozi is here. Very rational talk, of course. Big up everybody that's here. Hit that like button. Let's get to 100 likes, and let's start. Of course, I have to start with Liverpool, right? Is that why Hussam is so negative? What happened yesterday?
I'm not gonna lie to you. Momentum's key. I was pissed off, man. I'll say as simple as it is. Every competition I'm in, I want to win, and that was embarrassing. I'll keep it short and sweet. Give big up to Plymouth, whatnot, but bottom of the championship should not be beating Premier League leaders in any way, shape, or form. And you get some fans that say, "Oh, but we left all of our big hitters at home. We shouldn't need them to dispatch Plymouth. We shouldn't. That 11 was good enough to beat Plymouth." And I'm not going to go in on the young players like McConnell and Yoni. I'm looking at our seniors and the players that are on the periphery, the players that are fringe, that are trying to break into our starting 11. Your Elliots, your Jotas, your Diaz, your Chiesas, Endo was all right, actually, but your Kwanzas, like, I'm looking at these players that are trying to break in, because let's be honest, they're fighting for their shirt. Because when it's back to a Premier League game week and a Champions League game week, they're in and out the team, they're sporadic, they're rotational players. This was your time to shine. And a lot of people are saying, oh, Slot disrespect to the FA Cup. I don't think he did. I'm sorry. That squad is good enough to knock out Plymouth. And I don't wish injury on any club player, but I would rather, if we got an injury, you can get injuries in any game. You can get injuries in training, but I'd rather them be in games that probably mean a bit more. We didn't need our big hitters against Plymouth. I think it was an embarrassing performance from start to finish. I think we could have been playing till now. The time is 2:15, and we still wouldn't have scored a goal. Harvey Elliott was doing his best Patrick Mahomes impression. He was dropping deep when you're our biggest creator. You need to be nearer to the goal. And look, there's been a lot of talk of him being sold, him coming out and saying, this is my club. Well, if you put up performances like that, there's a good chance that you might not be here. And a lot of talks coming out this morning that we might have an overhaul in our attacking department. And I can see it because the only player that's guaranteed to be here next season in our front six is Cody Gakpo. Of course, if Salah signs, but that's still up in the air. Nunes will be sold. I think we all know this. Jota, because of his injuries, I think we're going to cash in. And Chiesa, I think we'll probably send back to Italy. So there's a good chance that we have a big overhaul in our squad. But I don't like this mentality of bigger fish to fry and we're in bigger competitions. No, I think we should go for every competition we're in. That squad was good enough to beat Plymouth. And I don't know why we're now making excuses for that performance. It was poor from start to finish. And now we then play Everton and we know momentum's key. I think Everton is the best game for a reaction. But if we now drop points in that, Arsenal start licking their lips. It can start to have you can start to put that seed of doubt. We need to react against Everton now. For me, this might sound mad, but this is now our biggest game of the season on Wednesday. It is now our biggest game of the season, essentially.
Yeah,
that's just how I feel about it.
Arsenal are not licking their lips.
If we have to drop points against Everton,
of course.
If you drop points against Everton, I think at that point we'd start going, oh hello, this could
exactly.
Do you think Slot didn't? I don't think he underestimated Plymouth in terms of the starting 11. I think that starting 11 would still be good enough to beat them. Do you think not taking any of the big players, even to be on the bench in case they were needed, was because like you saw it with City the day before, right? To beat bloody Leyton Orient, they needed to bring on De Bruyne and that.
Yeah.
You think because it's not even like going to kind of a European away game that you don't need to win, where you save them all the travel and stuff. Like I think you got a flight down to Plymouth, which is like an hour.
Yeah.
Do you think that just taking that gamble almost was slightly underestimating them?
I don't know.
I'll say, you know, you just said about underestimating Plymouth. Like, let me give you the players that played in this game. Kelleher in goal, part of the first team, played majority of the season in goal. You've got Kwanzaa, played majority of the season for the first team. You've got Gomez, always plays every season. Tsimikas, always. Some people are vouching for him to be the left back for Liverpool Football Club. Elliott plays in the first team. Endo, part of the first team. Chiesa, going to be part of the first team. Jota, part of the first team. So, and Diaz. You've got 9 players there that's part of the first team already. And Plymouth are 24th in the championship. So,
and Fozi, to add to that, Curtis Jones and Nunes on the bench. So it's not even like we had nothing coming off the bench. We still actually had players coming off the bench. Sorry, just for add that in.
So more or less 11 players, you know what I mean, in the team that's part of the first team. So going to 24th position championship team, there should not be any excuses beating them. You know what I mean? The worst part of it is, I don't know if you agree with me, Roms, is we didn't even work the goalkeeper, bro. I mean, 98 minutes. We even got extra 8 minutes at the end of the game to rectify all the mistakes that we did. We couldn't even get to the goalkeeper. So it shows these players. I've been saying it for a while, Roms. I don't know if you agree with me. I don't think we have the depth that Judge Moore said to me when I was here last time that we have. I've been saying it for a while. We still need a lot, like 3 or 4 players to make us to that complete team. And, playing these players continuously is going to let us down. And this will happen to us yesterday. I don't think we have got the depth that people think. The reason I say that, Judge Mo, is because I watch Liverpool. I watch Liverpool 24/7. I've been here since 1987, so I know what I see. And majority of those players that you're disagreeing with, I don't believe they're good enough. Diaz was playing yesterday. Diaz couldn't get past any Premier League defender. He went to Plymouth, he can't even get past a Plymouth defender. So it shows the quality is just not there. Chiesa You know, like he needs more games. Then we could judge him later on. You know, if you know what I mean. I think people are prejudging him too early, in my opinion. You judge a player when he plays a certain amount of games. It's too early for that. Elliot wanted to play number 10. He played number 10 yesterday. What did he do? He done nothing. But yeah, Ron,
playing number 6. He should have been 10, but he was collecting off. He was in our own half most of the game. But Fozi, I need to ask you something. What you just said. When you
Can I respond before you ask him something?
Sorry.
I completely disagree with you.
Go on.
Your depth is good enough to play against the bottom half of the table. Kwanzaa, Callagher, Gomez, Tsimikas, Elliott, Indo, Diaz. You're overreacting because of one game. You're doing what Hussam did. You're doing what Hussam did. Because I'm telling you what, right? If Leicester play within first 11, play against Plymouth, they should win. This game is not an indication of how good or not good your depth is. This is completely, you're overreacting. You didn't work the goalkeeper for tactical aspects, for the coach sending a message, as Rory said to the players, this game is not important. I'm not even taking the first starters, right, in case I'm in trouble. This game can never be an indication of how good Harvey Elliott is. We've seen Harvey Elliott play good. We've seen Gomez play good. We've seen Tsimikas play good. We've seen Indo. With all due respect, Fozi, you are saying because of one game against Plymouth that I am very sorry, your youth team should win against. You're saying the depth is not good. You are building a conclusion based on the wrong.
Just one game.
But this is my
because they are at the beginning of the season saved you multiple times.
This is my question to Fozi though. When you say we don't have the depth, what do you mean in terms of winning it? Like what do you mean that we don't have the depth? Because I agree with Mo. I think I'm not going to look at this game in isolation. They should have done
the quality of the players, bro. That's what I'm talking about.
What do you mean? You want?
No. Let me say.
Hold on, Fozi. Do you want your second team to be as good as the first team? No one has that. Even men don't have this.
No. I'm not saying that, bro. Like, you know, like when you got a first team, you need players that's going to push that first team, right? I don't think these players push our first team enough for them to be on their toes and, you know, eventually take their place and do something on the pitch. These players have been getting chances for how many years now has Harvey Elliott been here? How many years has Diaz been here? You know what I mean? This is what I'm trying to tell you. They've been here long enough to at least do something for the team that can make the difference on the pitch. And I don't think they've done that enough down the years, if you know what I mean. This is why I say, like, we need to, like, gradually get some players in that can do more than what these guys are doing. They've got the opportunity. It's like you keep giving chances to players, but they never do enough. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys.
Yeah, but the issue when you rotate the entire 11 and you don't take any of the senior players that are kind of, you would assume, the dressing room leaders. The problem with that is that it's a completely different game. Like it's not the same as rotating a few of those players into the rest of the first team. You're now relying on an entire different set of 11 players to be good enough, and when they're not good enough, you have no options.
This is not the first time.
Jones
it's not the first time, bro. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say to you. It's not the first
but you saw it the day before with City, right?
Have been given opportunities and they don't take it with both hands. You know what I mean? They got to take it. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think we're concentrating on the wrong area. I agree that we don't have depth, but not in our attack. I think our attack's fine. If you then said to me, defensive midfielder, centre backs, left back, that's when I agree with you, because I think Robertson needs to stay in terms of leadership, but he can no longer be our starting left back. And I've never rated Tsimikas. Personally, I've never rated Tsimikas. So we've got a player that shouldn't be our number one, and we've got a player that I just don't really think should be at the club. So if you're going to say maybe left back and centre back as well, because I think Gomez injury prone, Kwanzaa's still learning. If Konate or VVD gets injured, there's a considerable drop off. Yes. And then obviously if Gravenberch goes down, Endo and Morton to take us to a league, not necessary. But I think the area you're concentrating on, your Elliott's, your Jotas and whatnot are firing. I think that's the wrong area. I think we're fine in that department personally. I know this game in isolation, they were
wrong. What I'm replying to is what Mo said to me before in a different stream. I said, when he said to me, we've got the best team in the country and all that stuff.
You have the best depth in the league.
That's what he said.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Yes.
That's what I'm trying to tell him. I don't think we have got the best.
You definitely have who has better depth than Liverpool?
I think to say it's okay, but after that, there's a problem in my opinion, Mo. I honestly think that. I mean, because you look at the likes of.
I disagree with you completely, but fine.
It's like Rom said.
But it's all about Curtis Jones, Gravenberch, Harvey Elliott, Szoboszlai, Indo, what's his name? The other one, McAllister. That's enough depth to rotate. And what Rory is saying is correct. Remove Szoboszlai, put Curtis Jones, midfield look okay. remove McAllister, put Curtis Jones, midfield look okay. Nick, by the way, Gomez and Kwanzaa are not bad defenders for a rotational defenders. I'm sorry, Liverpool, Arsenal have Kivior to rotate. If not, Timber plays centre back, and they don't have a right back because Ben White is injured all the time. I think you're overreacting massively, to be honest.
I think it's naive not having, okay, so you're struggling against Plymouth. Fine. It's not like plan A hasn't worked, which was beating Plymouth with a rotated 11. Bring on Gravenberch, Salah, and Gakpo, and you win the game. Okay, Gomez gets injured 11 minutes in. That's annoying. We didn't really want to use Van Dijk today, but we're going to have to. Like, I feel like not having any of those options at all and just gambling that plan A was going to work, and if it didn't, then there was nothing else. I just feel, I don't know, I feel like that was just a bit naive.
Do you know what, Rory? I do see your logic. I do, honestly, that because it's not like they'll be playing the whole game. They'll just be coming on for that 20-minute period to win us the game. I get that. But my point is, there were still seniors on the bench in, let's just say, the main two in Nunes and Jones that for me are good enough to come on and win the game against Plymouth. That's why I was so pissed off, because it's that I get what you're saying. Maybe the better players just to play the last 10, 20 minutes game, but I still think we had enough in the squad we took there. And albeit it's Plymouth, but if this was like, where I'd agree with you, Rory? If this was a Blackburn or a Leeds that are in that top 6 and they're fighting to get into the Premier League, oh my God, I'm completely with you, because they actually have quality and they might have players that have played in the Prem that can take it to us in hostile atmospheres at like Ewood Park and Ellen Road. But the fact this was Plymouth, and I don't want to disrespect them because they knocked us out and they were better than us from start to finish. But the fact it was Plymouth and they're probably going to go down to League One, that's where my eye comes into it. I don't think we needed any of them 10 or 11 to come. I'm with Slot in his decision making. Some people aren't, some people aren't. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. I agree with Slot.
As an example, though, because and you mentioned this, like the rhythm, right? Disrupting that rhythm. I do think that's a big thing, because I was just looking back when City won the treble. Because for you, like the treble quadruple was on. Were you ever going to do it? Who knows? But it was on, and I remember a number of the City players off the back of winning that treble, where they went on that insane run, were like, "Yeah, we just locked in. Like we were playing every 3 days, and that rhythm of just game, rest, train, game, rest, train, game." Like they got into that. And like 4th round of the FA Cup that season, they had Bristol City away. And that was between Bournemouth away and Newcastle at home in the league, which was when Newcastle were really good. So 3 days before they played Newcastle in the league, they started with like virtually full strength. And then they took them off once they were 3-0 up, rather than we're just going to gamble. So, and I do wonder if that was...
This is an Arne Slot. Yesterday's game. And also I have to say something.
It's on the players.
It's not only on the players. Let me tell you why it's on Arne Slot, in my opinion. How many chances did Liverpool create before the 91st minute?
Nothing.
Zero. That is not players. These are tactics. These are ways to break low blocks. This is a way to play. This is not on the players. If you are creating chances and Nunes is missing here and there, and the players are getting in the right places and they're making the wrong decisions, I would say, okay, Arne Slot put them in the right place and the players didn't deliver. But that's not what happened. What happened in the game is that Plymouth had a plan and it worked. And it worked against Liverpool. So, is without Salah now, you don't create. If Salah is out, you don't create chances.
No, I have to disagree with you. Sorry. How many times have we seen 11 that aren't tactically set up well, and you have that Magnus that creates something out of nothing? I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you don't have Salah.
No, this is my point. Elliot or Chiesa or a player like that, or Diaz, should have been that player yesterday. Yeah. Yes, tactically we didn't play well, but they needed to be that player that steps up, that does something out of the ordinary. This is when you need players to do something like that. So I agree with you. Of course, Plymouth tactics stifled us. I think tactically we weren't that good. But this is when I look. This is why I think it's 50-50s on Slot and the players, because the players need to be stepping up. I don't think we're deep in it. It's Plymouth, our guy.
So hold on. So let me get down and stuff. If we all have done shows and we spoke about football for years. Yeah. If we have 9 to 11 players in the pitch not performing well, do we blame the players or we blame the tactics? This is just a given in football. If there is 1 player or 2 players are not performing well, we blame the players. This is my logic always. I've had the logic for Klopp, for Pep, for everyone. Once I have the whole team is not able to score or create, I'm putting it to tactics. Tactics means coaching, or it doesn't only have to be tactics. Rory raised a very good point. He's sending a message, not even taking the senior players. So these players know that he doesn't care about the game. So it's part of the coaching preparation for the game, is that these players are not thinking about it. It's my chance. It's my chance when Curtis Jones or Harvey Elliott being integrated with the other 10 that start every game. Harvey Elliott said, this is my chance now to show the coach that I can compete for this position. But if the coach is playing youngsters here and everywhere, and he's not even taking the senior players, everyone is saying, this is not a chance. This coach doesn't even care about this game if we win or lose. He just is putting out a team, hoping that we win. And I think that's how I view it.
I think it's on both. I think there's still an element of, even if I'm a player and I'm saying, well, Slot doesn't care about this game, I'm still thinking I'm a Liverpool player and the fans are going to care about this game. So regardless of what Slot thinks, like, this is my opportunity. But then equally, you know, I look at some teams when they've got loads and loads of injuries, like Bournemouth, where they still play the same way and they still play to a certain level. They might not be individually as good, but you can see that the coach has the entire squad coached to play the same way. And so even if players are dropped out and rotated, you still see that. Whereas with Liverpool, I felt like you didn't see that yesterday. Like, you didn't see, you couldn't look at that team yesterday and go, oh yeah, that Slot's Liverpool, just with slightly worse players. Like, it seemed completely different. And look, he's in his first season. That he's not had that much time to actually coach players. So I kind of don't give him so much scrutiny for that. But no, overall, you lose to Plymouth. I think it's on everyone at that point.
Do you know what I'd say, Rory? You just mentioned that City treble winning team with Rhythm. The only slight positive I can now take, because I was annoyed that we got knocked out. I'm not saying I'm happy we knocked out, but you know the only positive I can now take? A lot of them players who played yesterday might even not see another game this season. Because look, the League Cup final, we're not resting anyone. That will be our strongest 11. And then every other game is Champions League and Premier League. The only way they will see another game is, let's say we blitz a team first leg in one of our knockout ties, and then we can kind of rotate. But now, like you just said with that City winning team, I remember Bernardo come out that season, had an interview, he said, we just want to keep on winning because that momentum. I now think, hopefully we can go on a run where all our games now actually mean something now. So there's no time to rest in it. And you know what? I know you look might laugh. We can still win a treble. It's just not as prestigious as Staffy and Mo. It's just not the big treble, because we can still win one. It just won't
you will never be in that elite club. Inter, Man United, Barcelona, you will never be there, guys. You can cry about the 6 Champions Leagues all you want. You can talk about all of this. You will never be in that elite lot that won the Triple City as well. You'll never be there. You'll never be there.
Might be the first time I heard you call United elite, Mo. Yeah,
It's an elite club. The clubs that won the Triple are just elite by themselves.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. If you win the Prem and Champions League, in just them two alone in any season, it's elite. But if you add another trophy, yes, League Cup's not as prestigious as FA Cup.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that, Rom. You're not doing that. You tried and you failed.
What a treble is. Stop that. We already know what treble is.
Roms, you tried and it doesn't work. You tried. It's like Liverpool fans try to say, we won a treble somehow in the 80s. You never won the treble. That's what
it's
happened.
not the. I agree. It's not the treble. It's not the.
It's not the treble. Does this have any effect on Liverpool then?
In terms of winning the league?
Yeah, on the Champions League.
Nah, not at all. No. I don't think so. I actually remember Chelsea doing this. I mean, it was years ago under Mourinho, about 2015 against Bradford. I think we lost 4-2. Like, we were hopeless. Salah actually played in that one. And we went on to win the league. I honestly think it's smart in a way. I think he's rested players at a time when you want players fit, fresh, firing. You've got the league title obviously on the horizon that you could probably wrap up pretty early this year if you carry on the form that you're in. I don't see that he's that worried about the FA Cup when it's his first season in England. He's going to want to go and win a trophy that actually means something to Liverpool fans, getting their second trophy with this squad, this group of players that should have probably won more in England. And I think they'll probably win the League Cup. They'll have a really good chance at doing that, and they'll probably go far in the Champions League. And like Rom said, if you do all that in a season, it's an absolutely great season, no matter if it's a treble or not. I think the treble has sort of blurred some of our vision in recent years of what should be achieved by clubs. I think just doing what Slot is doing alone at the moment is really good. And if he goes on to win a league title, it's a great first season in England.
Spot on. Is that, you know what? Is that an indication of Liverpool without Salah can be in trouble if Salah gets injured or something?
What is this, Mo? Like always Salah. Like
Yes.
I'm
I
Egyptian. I'm Egyptian.
I
What do you think?
know, but we're gonna
I'm
calm
Egyptian.
down with that stuff, man.
I
Because-
actually think it is a bit.
No, but hold on. It is actually true, though. I'm going to tell you
no.
why.
It ain't.
No, it is.
Can
I
I-
actually think it is.
It's
I'm gonna shut this down straight
I
away.
disagree.
Hold on. Let me tell you.
Oh.
Rory said, okay, so I'm picking up what Rory said, okay? Rory
No,
said,
you're not. You're not.
let me tell you.
Okay.
Rory said, I was expecting the same brand of slot football, but with worse players. Does slot brand of football rely so much in creativity on Mohamed Salah? That is the question. If you answer that question, you know where I'm coming from. If you answer that, if you look at Liverpool's numbers and how Mohamed Salah performed this season and the delivery of Mohamed Salah, and you look at what Rory said, and you think about it like, well, what if Mohamed Salah is not there? Would we have been first?
Okay. But,
Go ahead.
So
I didn't think of it like that.
So what you're saying?
Thank you so
is-
much.
I think it's always a bit of an issue when a team is clearly relying on one player for a lot of their output, right? And I said it at the start of this season when Haaland had scored like 10 of City's first 12 goals. It was like that's going to be a problem if Haaland gets injured or goes off the boil. But that isn't to say that if Man City were to lose Erling Haaland today, they would never be the same team. Like. Even Erling Haaland is replaceable. Mohamed Salah is replaceable. It would hurt them to an extent. But yesterday, that's not Liverpool. That's not, saying yesterday, Liverpool without Mohamed Salah lose to Plymouth. It's Liverpool yesterday without Mohamed Salah and Gravenberch and Szoboszlai and McAllister and Van Dijk and Gakpo. They lost to Plymouth. So it doesn't all boil down to one player. If you put 4 or 5 of those other players back into that team, they win yesterday, even if Salah's not there. So,
do you know what, Rory? The reason why I actually had to listen to what Mo said, because first I was just going to rebuttal. Well, last season we had Salah out for 7-8 weeks, and we still kept up with City and Arsenal. Because people seem to forget that it wasn't even just Salah. Actually, we had
That's a nice trophy, Roms.
We actually know the irony is we actually won a trophy with us.
Yeah, I know. Your kids did actually, to be fair. So Salah isn't that important.
So
but Ron is right. Ron is 100% right. Last season we didn't have Salah in January when he went to the African Nations, I believe.
And then he come back.
And Jota played on the right, as I remember, Roms. And he basically
Salah came back from Africa. I didn't realise last season Salah came back from Africa.
Then he got this guy.
I just didn't see him again.
But this is my point. Where Mo hits the nail in the head is because the minute you said, without Salah, it's a problem, I thought, hold on, we kept up with City and Arsenal last season. But then that's a Klopp system. In this slot system, if you look at the numbers, Salah's been involved, I think, is 67% of our goals this season, whether it's goals or assists. So what Mo kind of has a point. Without Mo, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai and all these that will chip in, but even with Salah in the team, they've not really demonstrated that they can create. Yes, they excel in other areas, like their industry and whatnot. But Mo has a point. In terms of creativity, it's still only really Salah. It's not like the rest are creating.
Who else is going to step up? Can someone explain to me who else is going to step up?
That type of game highlights how important. No, I don't think Gakpo, I think, thrives in a team where someone else takes the pressure off of him. I think when he's like so relied upon, I don't see him being like the main man.
But he was the main man before he moved to Liverpool.
McAllister could. I genuinely
think
but
that's
McAllister and Salah.
I think McAllister, if Salah gets injured, McAllister can take on that creative role, in my opinion. But it does mean Jones and Szoboszlai probably have to come in. Sorry, Jones or Szoboszlai will have to drop out because Gravenberch.
Can I tell you guys something? If Salah is out for the rest of the season, Liverpool lose the league and don't win the Champions League.
Probably.
Anybody disagree with this point?
But you say you don't win the Champions League or we win.
You don't win the Champions League, you don't win the league. From now, if Salah is not playing Everton game and he doesn't play Aston Villa away and he doesn't play the rest of the games, you don't win the league and you don't win the Champions League. Unless Arsenal capitulate. Unless Arsenal capitulate. I think your win percentage will drop massively if Salah is not there. Massively.
But that's different to Salah leaving in the summer. Because Salah leaves in the summer, Liverpool can replace him.
I'm not talking about that.
Then that's fair enough. I mean, I still think that they could probably just about drag themselves over the line in the Premier League without him.
Yeah, but if Salah leaves in the summer, of course, the board will actually have a plan to replace the guy with someone else, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about today, If
Mhm.
Salah is out for the rest of the season, I think Liverpool struggle massively as well. Massively, by the
It's
way.
like every team.
Yeah.
will
If we
struggle.
lost Palmer,
you,
we'd
you
get
think
relegated.
so?
I still think
Right.
we win the league.
We lost.
And
We lost.
Palmer's
Saka,
not
it
even your
hurt us.
best player. Dan, have some shame. Palmer's not even your best player at the current moment, so have some shame.
I think he still is. I think he still is.
Absolutely.
Well, maybe Casado.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
You know, guys. I don't know about you guys, but I just strongly disagree with like with one man. The way you're standing, Mo, and everybody, it's like we're a one man team. We can't do anything without Salah. I think we've got the quality there that we could do more. You know what I mean? I think like the likes. When I look at Szoboszlai and the rest of the players, sometimes they're in awe of Salah. I mean, imagine if Salah is taken out of the equation, maybe their quality will go, will come up more. If you know what I mean, guys. That's how I see it. I'm not a believer of like we're a one-man team, like Salah does everything. No. I only think he disrupts a lot of players' qualities at the same time as well. I think Szoboszlai's got more in his game. I think McAllister's got more in his game. I think Gravenberch has got more in his game. And Gakpo showed this season when everybody had doubts against him, he's got more in his game. So I think everybody will step up because last season, like Ron said, when
that's a big assumption, to be honest. A big assumption.
I honestly think that
Szoboszlai might improve, but he's not going to.
But the thing is, a lot of people said last season we couldn't do nothing about Mo Salah. A lot of people said that, but what happened? We went on a run. Obviously, we lost against Arsenal, but we went on a run of wins as well at the same time as well. So we can do that. You know what I mean? You could put Jota on the right, and he would take over that. Obviously, that man
until he gets injured. Yes.
No. But the thing is, he did play well. He did score more goals. He did contribute into the team last season as well. So you got to look into different avenues. You keep saying like one man does everything for the team. We're not in a Steven Gerrard era anymore. You got a lot of leadership in this team as well that can do much more than what they're doing right now as well. So I strongly disagree. You're saying like Salah is the be or end all for Liverpool Football Club. I strongly disagree with that. I think he's got more quality than you guys think.
Do you know what I'd say, Mo? Salah by himself, if he gets injured, I think we still scrape the league. And that's only because I look at Arsenal's attack and I don't know when Saka's back, but they still don't have the firepower to get over the line.
They're going to sign a striker in February.
No, but exactly, they can't. That's why I still think we get over the line. But this is where I agree with you, Mo. If Salah and or Gravenberch or Van Dijk was to get injured now, two other pivotal positions, that's when I agree with you. I actually think Arsenal might then overtake us in the league. But Salah by himself, we will still scrape.
Yes.
And put it like this, instead of winning games maybe 3-1 or 2-0, we might just win a load of them.
Bro, you scrape games with Salah in there. Salah is the one who saves you in a lot of games. Am I wrong here?
So,
yeah, but
Ron, who's more important, Van Dijk or Salah?
You haven't seen Liverpool without Salah.
Okay, so hold on, Fozi. So the difference between me and you, Fozi, is that you're assuming, and I'm looking at reality. No, you're assuming that your players are going to go up a notch. Okay, let me just put this thing. You're assuming that if players will go up a notch,
they've done it before.
If Salah is not in this system, when Salah did Salah really? Gravenberch haven't.
Without Salah.
Say again.
Liverpool have never been better without Salah.
Last season we have. We've done a lot last season without him. That's what I said.
I wouldn't say better, but we still maintained a certain level of performance. I wouldn't say better, but I would say we still maintained.
Ron, we still went on, didn't we? We still went on.
We still got results.
I'm not saying like without Salah we are, be or end all. That's I'm not saying Salah. That's bringing extra quality. I agree 100%. But without him, we can still do something. That's what I'm trying to say, guys. We can actually still compete.
No one said. I'm not going to say you're going to get relegated. I'm just going to say if Arsenal pick up after Dubai and win games and go on a run, Liverpool don't have Salah, I would think that Arsenal win the league. How is that? It's not crazy, actually.
I think we can still win the league even without Salah.
Mo said we don't get
injuries in
okay, let me, Rory, sorry, apologies to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I just don't think we've ever seen Liverpool better without Salah. Like even last season, he was probably definitely on course for player of the season for the first half of the season, and Liverpool were top of the league. And then, okay, he dropped off personally and was still playing, but ultimately you lost the best version of Salah, and then you went from being top of the league to being out of the title race and out of the European competition and out of the FA Cup. So I don't feel like being without Salah would improve Liverpool.
Let me ask a question to Roms and Fozi. Let me ask a simple question. Salah is not in the season. He starts the season. if by September, right, or October, Salah is out, where are you in the league now?
Oh, I would say maybe 4th or 5th. This is where I agree with you, Mo. If he's
That's
not
the
there,
whole point.
I agree with you, but
That's the whole point.
I feel like now
now.
we've got enough of a buffer, and our competitors are also a team don't really have an attack. So I think we'll scrape over. Your statement just now was without Salah, you do. I don't think we're in Champions League. I agree with you then. But you said no Prem, no Champions League. No Champions League, I agree. But I still think we just get over the line in the Prem, even without Salah.
Without Salah, Newcastle wins the final in the Carabao Cup. Without Salah, Newcastle win the final.
I agree with that. I do agree with that, yeah. But then again, you say that, Mo, but Salah doesn't really turn up for us in finals. I'm not going to lie.
Hey, don't say that out loud. It upsets some people. When I said that about Egypt, I got upset with
I can't believe it.
Be Egyptians before you be you were Egyptian before you are a Man United fan. Have some shame and decorum.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what's funny? When Mo says you're Egyptian before you're Man United fan, this guy let me down in an AFCON final, and he let me down in a playoff game against Senegal to make the World Cup.
It's the way you look at it. It's the way you look at it. Maybe you reach the final because of him, and the rest of them are rubbish in the whole national team, and that's why you didn't win the final.
He missed the penalty.
See the difference?
That had nothing to do with how they got there.
See the difference? How you look at it? You look at it, it's different, bro.
See how defensive he gets, bro. It's so easy. It's so easy.
Okay, so defensive about Salah, of course. He's the bright, shining star of my whole country, bro. Of 110 million people, this is the only guy that was put Egypt on the map. And you want me? Of course, I'm so defensive.
Mo, you can admit you're a Liverpool fan. Your Premier League
It's
team
not
is
the truth,
Liverpool.
man.
Mo's trying to get that
definitely-
collab with Mo Salah, bro. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get that collab. You're not getting it, Mo.
I hope so. I hope I get it, bro. I will not invite you, though. I won't invite you to that show.
Wallahi, I wouldn't want to be there. I promise you. It would be too awkward.
Wallahi, you are lying. Listen, this is the rational. Wallahi, you are lying.
To do a
If I
collab
have a
with
show with
Muhammad Salah
Muhammad
and you.
Salah and I tell you, Staffy, come interview the guy, you'll be like, oh, I'll drop everything to interview Muhammad Salah. Have some
Probably,
shit.
yeah. Now that you say it like that, maybe,
boss. You know what? I'm going to be 2 hours late today.
I just feel too fake because I'm gonna be like, yeah. Listen, I've been saying for years you're overrated, but I'm here interviewing you. I don't know.
Do you think Salah is overrated?
Yeah, a bit of it is just a shameless thing, Mo. It's okay. Let it go.
Okay, so it's not real.
It's a
not
little
real.
bit agenda based. No.
It's not real. All right, I agree with you. Anyway, let me do a couple of these super chats to see. Big up JJ, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Big up Ash Habibi, thank you. Showing love to the one and only judge, and big up the panel. Subscribe if you haven't. Let's get Mo to 30k, please, and smash the bloody like. You lot, come on, you gooners. Come on, subscribe. Hit that like button, people. Almost at 30k. Come on, and we are only of over 400 people here, and we're only on 120 likes. That's absolutely fraudulent. Saka might not be in form when he returns. We'll speak about Arsenal. I'm going to save that super chat for this as well. And more predictions on today's Inter game against Fiorentina. 3-1 Inter. I'm just going to say 3-1 Inter. Will be 1 point behind Napoli. And Inter will win the league. Moving on from Liverpool a little bit. We'll keep Liverpool in the title race. We'll talk. But I want to speak a little bit about Chelsea. I haven't spoken to Dan since Chelsea lost the FA Cup. Bigger fish to fry. The Conference League, of course, is bigger than the FA Cup. That's why you lost.
Who said this? Where's this?
Wait, Mo, don't forget, in the beginning of the season, they said that's the only trophy they've never won. So they want to win this one. They don't care for anything else more than this one.
No, wait, no one said
They
that.
were saying
No
stuff.
one said
I
No
swear,
one
there
said
were
that.
people saying that.
No one
I know it's a
fucking
shameless
said that,
thing.
bro.
It was a joke, but I swear to God they were saying
No, we want to
Listen,
win
there-
it. Of course, we
There
want to
were
win the
Chelsea
Conference
fans
League.
saying we can be the first club to win every European honor.
Yeah,
They were
it's a
literally
joke.
yeah,
I'm
but
not
that-
lying. I swear they were
That
saying
doesn't come.
There is
that
there is
doesn't- in
one
my
that you
opinion,
never won.
You
That
don't
only
just win the
Arsenal won.
Conference League and accept like mediocrity for everything else. Like you don't. That's just not how it works. Win the Conference League because we're in that competition, but at least do a good enough job in all the other competitions as well. Don't go out in the 4th round of the FA Cup. But it's just not good enough.
Is Maresca under pressure or not?
Yes. And no matter what people say, either, he will be under pressure at the end of the season if he doesn't qualify for the Champions League. Because I still think that eventually the only way these owners learn is when their pocket gets hit. And by continuously not qualifying for Champions League and qualifying in positions in the Premier League that aren't considered financially viable for a club the size of Chelsea to be benefiting off, I think the manager will be under pressure. I don't care where he finishes. And I don't like whatever the PR is that's coming out of the club. I genuinely think they will remove the manager if he doesn't get Champions League football.
They
no matter
can't.
if
Didn't
he's-
he sign a 5-year contract then? He
Yeah,
can't.
but I think they have to remove the manager to protect themselves. If they don't remove the manager, I think he's not getting it right, the scrutiny will just move on to them. And I think the sporting directors are going to protect themselves to avoid the limelight constantly hitting them, and they will just paint Maresca as the problem. But they haven't backed him. They haven't given him the players that he requested in January when he asked for certain types of players, certain profiles. He's not got them. They've given a guy a job who was out of his depth before he even started. The pressure should 100% be on them and the owners above them for employing them.
Wait,
but
then
I
can
think
ask
they
you
will
something?
put Maresca into the limelight to be the issue.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I want to ask you something. What do you mean he's been out of his depth? And this is a genuine question. I'm not trying to cut you
Yeah.
off. What do you mean he's been out of his depth since he took over?
Well, to be honest, Staffy, I think the CV required to get the Chelsea job has to have more on it and more depth and more experience and far more silverware than what Maresca had the day he got the job. I think he's learning on the job, and I think ultimately that's something you can't do at Chelsea as your main objective.
And only
Maybe
do it to
you learn
Arsenal.
small things, but you don't come in as an apprenticeship as a Chelsea manager.
Sorry, I'm in a joke. Smooth.
I didn't hear him
I'm in a
actually.
joke.
Go on, wait, what did you say?
Oh, it's a troll. And then he says, "Wallahi, I'm not joking."
Repeat it again.
Wallahi,
No,
I'm not rage
you
baiting.
will know. You will know when I'm joking. You know what I mean?
I
You know
didn't
when I'm
hear it. I
joking.
didn't hear it, so I can't even laugh.
It's only allowed at Arsenal to learn on the job.
Oh.
It's only allowed at Arsenal.
Do you know what was embarrassing with Maresca? And I know some people will say that's the old regime. That's not what it's like under Clearly. But I only heard it this morning. Saeed played it, and when I heard that he said there's a positive of getting knocked out of the cup competition, that's crazy because I think he needs to realize that. He needs to.
Yeah, he said that actually.
After the game, his press conference after the game. So the first things the travelling fans heard on their way home after being knocked out of the FA Cup from the manager was, "Oh, don't worry, guys, we can put a positive spin on this one." Like, no, you just don't do that. It's just ridiculous.
That's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I said that when United got knocked out of the League Cup, and people cooked me on my channel. And I'm not the manager.
You know, like we could put a positive spin on Liverpool's in a sense because they might actually still go on to win the Premier League or something. And I think you can do it if you're in a position where the benefit of going out of that competition might actually be even greater than winning that one. Chelsea not winning a domestic trophy now in 8 seasons is ludicrous. Like that did not happen under the Abramovich era. 2018, mate. 2018. It's been, obviously we've been to finals.
What did you win in 2018?
FA Cup under
FA Cup.
Yeah, we know you've been to finals. I know. I'm responsible.
Yeah, exactly right. But ultimately, we won the Champions League in 21. But this is the longest period of time. I think it will be 3 seasons without silverware. That's down to Clearlake.
I think what's more frightening than is I don't think you've competed, let alone win one over the last 3 years, and that's the worst part because. You could excuse sometimes.
We went to a final last season, Staffy. So we did compete in the League Cup.
Yeah, technically all right. Yeah. But bar that one. I mean, it is technically the smallest trophy as well. So it's like maybe that's why I forgot.
Semi-final of the FA Cup, lost to Manchester City.
We beat you in the final.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have been competing. I actually think I have to defend them a little bit here. It would be a little bit harsh to say we haven't competed in some of the domestic competitions. In the Premier League, though, you are absolutely spot on.
Yeah. Like, the benefit isn't that even worse. Even we've been 12 to the final of the Carabao Cup. Maresca's been knocked out in the 4th round of both.
Yes,
what?
It's shocking.
You think Chelsea gone worse than Pochettino now?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are currently at this moment in time. I actually think Chelsea are worse. This season,
I was going to say
that 11th this time last year. In terms of league.
That's why, Roms, this is gonna like...
let me elaborate on that then, because I can see why people are going to suggest this. But we have ultimately declined in recent months under Maresca. The football we are seeing right now, I genuinely think is worse than when Pochettino at this point in the season was starting to turn a corner. Maresca's in like rapid decline. And I think Pochettino at this point in the season was starting to get results.
He was.
I wasn't going to mention that.
You ended in 6th, didn't you, last season?
Yeah, and statistically on the form table, I think we were 4th.
Dan, do you know why you're spot on? Because I remember the 2024 thing. This was coming from Arsenal and Chelsea. We're 1 and 2 to 2024 table. So I actually think you got a point.
Yeah.
I think
by the way, that's not me advocating for Pochettino to have stayed at Chelsea, by the way, because I think we needed to upgrade on Pochettino, and I'm now not sure that we have.
However, Rory, hold on, please.
Yeah.
But if time goes back, and your only choice is to keep Pochettino or hire Maresca, what would you have done? That is the question.
I probably would have kept Poch.
And that is the main question that the ownership fucked up. Picked up. Forget that you should have sacked Pochettino. I agree with you.
Let's
but you should have.
Mo.
No.
Right?
We know that. Okay, now hold on. Forget that. The ultimate situation would have been sacking Pochettino, hiring a better manager, a Thomas Tuchel or a bigger name.
That's what all Chelsea
fans
want.
That is not on the table today. What is on the table is, should I stick with Maresca now or should I have kept Pochettino? Which one? It's keeping Pochettino.
Well, you're keeping a manager that has won a league title in France. You're keeping a manager that has ultimately done more in his career than Maresca in terms of the managerial standpoint, what he's built with teams. He's been to Champions League finals. Or you hire Maresca, who's won a championship that very, very nearly didn't and lost a lot of points in that competition and had Parma in relegation form. If you just remove the names and you give me both those CVs, I'd probably say I'll choose the guy that's been to a Champions League final and won a league title in France, right? Don't get me wrong, he's at PSG and he had a season where he didn't win a trophy. But I also did say at the time quite vocally, I don't believe Pochettino is the right manager for Chelsea. Mm-hmm. I definitely didn't believe that downgrading on Pochettino was the right step forwards. However, the board, the sporting directors did. So it's down to them.
The problem is if you end up
a bit harsh on Maresca, it's not really his fault. I wouldn't turn down the Chelsea job if they called me up tomorrow and offered it to me.
If you end up in 6th, then at the end of this season, Maresca and Poch will have ended up in the same position, but Poch's team was improving, whereas Maresca's team's been getting worse. And Poch got to a final. All right, you could get to the Conference League final. But ultimately, you'll be in a worse position under Maresca than you were under Poch, and Poch got sacked.
And they have a better team, Rory. They have a better team.
Yeah, and a team that's more integrated and has been in the Premier League for longer and been playing.
That's the biggest point, Rory, that you've been making that point for a long time this season, is that Maresca's start point with this team was a team that's form was 4th in the Premier League and had got to a semi-final and a final the season prior. Maresca now has finished 4th in both of those competitions that Chelsea actually did pretty well in last year. All right, we didn't win any of those trophies, but they definitely show that they can compete when it comes to trying to go and win a trophy. And then what? He's going to pretty much be handed a Conference League just because of the sheer difference in quality between the two teams. The fact of the matter is that Chelsea's current accumulated squad costs more than the other 31 teams in the Conference League combined, or whatever the number is of the other teams in the competition.
And if you do end up in that same place, if you do end up in that same place where arguably it's a worse place than when Poch was sacked, if you then don't sack Maresca, does that mean the standards are slipping, or the standards?
I think yes, Rory. I think it would mean that, and I also think it probably means that Maresca isn't nearly as confrontational to what the board are asking him to do as Pochettino might have been. I think that's huge for the reason Pochettino was removed from his post, is because he wanted Gallagher, he wanted Trevor Chalobah. These players were deemed not good enough for Chelsea, removed in the summer. We've now gone crawling back to Trevor Chalobah. Conor Gallagher is clearly better than the players we brought in to replace him in terms of like Dewsbury Hall and players of that sort of level. I think Pochettino was right with fundamentally what Chelsea needed to do. But I think if they'd have gone to the owners and said, look, Poch wants to do this, I think it would have put him in a bad light. And the owners would say, well, hang on, we've employed you so that Pochettino doesn't have those issues, or you go and hire a manager that doesn't, like they said Poch was a great fit for Chelsea. He obviously wasn't. So they got that one wrong.
I actually think it's like it's like a play that has a director that is kept building the cast, and the tickets kept increasing, the sales kept increasing until at the end. And then the second season, a new director came in. So he was still riding the wave of the play being popular and people buying tickets. And then by the time people realized this play is not good and the new director is going down, I think that was going on at Chelsea.
It was maybe like now Transformers without Sam Witwicky.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly. It kept going down, going down, going down.
Never the same.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that is the problem. And by the way, we went from the conversation that Chelsea have a better squad than Arsenal, than United, than Liverpool, that Chelsea are definitely getting top 4, maybe top 2, to now they are in question, are they going to get even top 5? Because Newcastle can pick up form, Man City can pick up form, and Chelsea can finish top 6. People still think that because Chelsea are top 4 today, we're good. Yeah, Chelsea are good. Yes. But the question of whether you're going to make top 5 or not was never there. It was a full-on conclusion that Chelsea will be in the Champions League next season. But we're sitting here in February and Chelsea are like, are we really going to make a Champions League next season? Yes, we can. Like that's what Ziad was saying. Yes, we can. But people are not sure. If you ask any Chelsea fan, are you sure? Are you going to make Champions League? People say, not really. We think we're going to make it, but we're not sure.
No, you're spot on. Before that Everton, because for me, that's where it all unraveled. Because remember, there was that question before the Everton game. If Chelsea, I think if you had won that, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we
Dan,
went
you
top
would've went
until you won, obviously.
Until we won for a few hours, but still, you would have went top, and I think that would have done a lot for your team. But after that game, I think it's what 2-9 or something crazy.
Yeah,
like
it is in the
downward
Premier.
spiral. But I think Mo is spot on because before that Everton game, it was top 4 is a foregone conclusion. Now they're looking at the title with Liverpool and Arsenal, and now it is a question because Mo just named. You've got Newcastle, you've got Forest, which I do think Forest will go on a little dip, but I think the dip will still keep them in top 6, which is an incredible season for them. But you got Forest, Villa. I can see Emery just putting this all into Champions League. I've never really rated Villa as high as other people. I've got my reasons for that, but you still got Villa, you still got Newcastle, you still got Forest, you still got Man City. You're right, Mo. It's now no longer foregone conclusion that Chelsea will even finish top 5. So
even Lewis was sitting on his stream saying the fact that Lewis and Matisse are sitting on their stream saying if we don't make top 5, if we don't make top 4, that means it's creeping in. You get my? It's creeping in, and that means things have changed at Chelsea. People view Chelsea have changed. We owe you an apology, Dan. Not me. The chat owes you an apology a little bit, Dan.
Yeah, Dan was the only one that actually has been consistent with this. But I will say, Dan, no, and I think most of the panel will agree. If Maresca doesn't win the Conference League, I think you win it. I do. But if he doesn't, that's a sackable offence, right?
Oh, 100%.
Right
like, I think the doubt has now crept into Chelsea fans' mind that there's a possibility that one slip could happen, which is ridiculous. But we've lost to Ipswich. Like, I think there are teams in the Conference League that are better than Ipswich on their day. Do you know what I mean? That's it, right? Like, and even like we had a slip earlier on against Serviette. I think the problem is that what happened with Maresca is that I think there's a chance that he may have been found out, that his tactics at the beginning of the season knew they were different. No one had really seen them, and no one was really trying it because he had these inverted fullbacks and it was compact in the midfield, and then we had one-on-one wingers, and we were thriving and players were in good form. Once that's sort of been figured out, I don't think he's been able to adapt and change. And this is exactly the conversation we're having about Ange at Spurs. And at the time, no one would have said Spurs could be in a relegation battle or down in that position in the Premier League at this time last season, because they would have said, no, Ange is okay. He's okay. We're going over the top on what we're doing with Ange. If Maresca doesn't sort it out and this form just continues now and he shows no willingness to adapt, it's not just a lack of a striker, because even with a striker involved in this Chelsea team, there's still huge issues defensively. And yes, we haven't brought in quality, but I always think that a manager is given the cards that he's given, right? And then as the manager, you have to get the best out of that hand. And I don't think Maresca's doing that right now. And that's where I have an issue, because I had the same issue with Pochettino. He had these players that he wasn't getting the best out of. And the huge talking point for me is he has one of the best players in the Premier League in Cole Palmer. And I think consistently since day one, he's almost removed him from his best role. And I think that's been a huge issue that we've seen this season, is that Palmer's now being classed as underperforming because Maresca's asking him to do a job that I personally don't think gets the best out of him. We saw last year how you get the best out of Cole Palmer. Poch ultimately got the best out of him. You could argue that Pochettino's got more out of some of the better players in this Chelsea team and some of the worst players than what Maresca's done at times. There is a debate for that to be said now, because ultimately Cole Palmer in the number 10, I think, is being stifled just a little bit.
Yeah. But let me ask you something about this. I wanted to speak a little bit about Jadon Sancho. How do we view him, Jadon Sancho? Is it his failure, or is Jadon Sancho being let down by the tactics?
It's his failure because it's repeat behavior.
Yeah,
because it's exactly what
happened. What behavior?
What's the repeat? Yeah, what is the repeat behavior?
Yeah,
exactly what happened to United. It began with a bit of promise, but then very quickly sort of went into his shell. Doesn't want to do anything that might draw criticism in terms of the way he plays. There's no risk taking. And then there's this, that comment on Rashford's thing last night. It's just one of the most why you'd comment that. I
feel
freedom, yeah. Which is okay. Well, you've got your freedom, and you've got 1 assist and no goals in your last 11 games. So I just feel like there's with Sancho, you've done it at United, now you've done it at Chelsea.
Here's a quick one on this. Does Maresca's system allow his wingers to get a huge amount of output, or are they involved in the squad for a different reason? Because I don't see any. I know Madueke's got numbers, but a lot of them have been tap-ins or a certain type of goal in one game where we just exploited a tactic. Where are Maresca's wingers in? Where's their involvement in the team in terms of attacking output? Because I don't think that they are. The way he plays, they're so isolated at times.
You're right. Even Neto, before his goal against West Ham, he's even had quite a dip in form where he's not really been contributing. And Neto's one of them plays where he's never really contributed with numbers. Even if you look at his Wolves days when he played, it wasn't really numbers, but it was performances. And even now, his performances have kind of deteriorated. So you actually got a point there when you actually look at his wide man. And this is why I was saying to Don earlier, Dan, I think Palmer, horses for courses. I'm not saying play him right wing every game. Yeah. I'm not saying every game. But there's some games put him there because what it enables him to do is cut in. And there's also more space on the flanks. You're always going to have someone touch tight to you in the 10 role.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right, Roms, is that as on top of what you're saying, right, with where you're saying allow Palmer to have that freedom by playing just a little bit more to the right or whatever. The issue that Maresca's not got, has removed from this whole team is overlapping fullbacks.
Yes.
So there is no width provided if those wide players leave that area to go and try and score and get GA. There is no overlapping fullbacks. So that whole space is void. Maresca tries to stop counterattacks on his team by compacting the central area in 2 rows of 2, or, that's his rest defense.
I think you can get away with the sort of, the team's not set up right for him thing if you're not an 80 million pound player on 350 grand a week. I feel like and that's not Sancho's fault, but the reality is, when you go for that money and you're earning those wages, the expectation is that you will drag the team no matter what. You will impact the team no matter what.
What is the expectation from Sancho though? Because I never viewed him as a goal scorer in any team he's been in. So what is the expectation?
Creator. I always seen him as a creator.
Yeah.
And numbers.
I'm not going to ever judge Sancho by his goal scoring output. Like Rory said, he's a facilitator. I'm going to judge him by his assists because that's what he's made a career of. Even if you look at his
can I ask you a question, bro? With Sancho, don't you think he's got an issue when the pressure is on? You know what I mean? When he's at Man United, the pressure is on. When he's at Chelsea, the pressure is on. But when he's at Dortmund, pressure wasn't on, and he plays. He's type of.
I'm not going to use United as the biggest indicator, and I think this is where Staffy will agree because they're manager after manager. It's a poison challenge. Most players don't excel at that club. But if you go back to the Dortmund days, I fully agree with you. And even in pressured games, when Sancho's performed for Chelsea, because I do think he's a good player, but this is a conversation we have to have because when it's been games that were less pressured and didn't really need it, he's normally like the player that gets the assist for the 3rd goal when Chelsea are already winning. When the game's pretty much already won. But that opening assist, I think he did it at Bournemouth for Nkunku. I remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, he come on off the bench, didn't he? Yeah.
And there was another game. But in terms of starting, a game that sticks out to me is when he played us at Anfield, right? I did think we got fortunate. I think Sancho should have won him a pen. But after that, it was like, what are you really doing? Do you know what I mean? And when the pressure's on, that's a good point, Fozi. That is actually a very good point.
I think there's too many.
That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
I think there's too many. There's too many passengers in this Chelsea front line, and I forgot who I discussed this with. Might have been on Straight Facts, and I was saying there's too many attackers in this Chelsea team where they need someone else to carry them in terms of G&A. So when you look at Nico Jackson, what's one thing he's suffering from? The fact that number one, there's no other striker in that team that's scoring about 15 to 20 goals. That when he's not scoring, because let's just be honest, he's not prolific, no one is like, all right, let's take that pressure off him because Chelsea are winning, they're scoring goals, even though he's going through a drought, but he's still playing a role, even though he's not getting the G&A. Sancho's one of them as well. I always think that Sancho is a good player in a good team, but when the team is not performing, he's not really the needle mover. You get what I'm saying? He's not the impactful player. Like if you already have, like we seen during Chelsea's best form this season, everyone was saying, "Oh, he looks like the best left winger in the league," and that was fair at the time to say that. Even though he was getting just 1 assist a game or whatever, so his GNA still wasn't crazy. We were still giving him praise. Now that Chelsea are playing bad, and this is not me defending him, by the way, I'm just trying to analyze it as I honestly believe it is right now. When the team is not performing again, obviously he's being highlighted, but we tend to forget because of his price tag and all that stuff, which, by the way, Chelsea didn't pay for, United paid for. When a team's not winning and all that, we're like, oh, but what is he doing? Is he getting a goal? Is he getting an assist? But we know he's not that. So we can't only just say that when the team's not performing. I think as much as you would want to see more from him, I agree with you. And he's still very young. And you would have thought over the last couple of years, maybe I add a little bit of element to your game. Like, we know you're the facilitator. You're kind of like, you're a creator that plays on the wing. You're not really a winger, but you're more of like a midfielder who plays on the wing, who likes to take on his man and put the ball in the box all the time. When they're not scoring, you would think that maybe because of who I was at Dortmund, going into United, now I'm at Chelsea, I've been a big name for a while. I need to start adding that X factor to my game. That's one thing I maybe think, yeah, he should be criticized for that. But other than that, I will be honest, I just feel like we're highlighting him right now because of the poor performances in general. And as I said, if there was a couple more players performing, we wouldn't be doing that. Because guess what? Last week we were talking about Nico Jackson. Probably the week before we were talking about Palmer. And that's how it is because we've seen him perform better. He needs, by the way, that comment he left on the Rashford's Instagram. I don't know why he does that. Like, I haven't really spoken about him much since he left United because I was getting accused all the time of being a Sancho fanboy. I just don't care anymore. But honestly, I saw that and I'm like,
But you are though.
No, I'm not. But,
yeah, but if they really believe that Aston Villa is the escape that Rashford needs, then I think that's where the issue is, because the freedom would have been given to Rashford had he applied himself in the way that Amorim wanted to, like with Garnacho. And I think the same.
I think it's more towards the club because to be fair, Sancho didn't work with
Amorim. They're acting as if Manchester United was the problem, but really,
that's what I'm saying. And that's what he insinuated.
Man United definitely is the problem.
Look, I don't think it helps.
But here's the thing, though, you can't be saying that when
the only factor in that conversation. And I think if they think going to Aston Villa and going to Chelsea are the things that heal that situation, then that's where I think they're massively wrong.
But there's also no guarantee that that's the case.
And the English press will still exist, by the way, at Villa and at Manchester United.
Yeah, and the thing is, if it doesn't actually work out for Rashford in the next couple of months and he doesn't start scoring goals again, is there still going to be that freedom? Is it still all going to be, oh, look, Rashford's back and all of that stuff? Maybe not. So, yeah, whatever's going on at United, which I think is a far deeper issue than the managers, because it's been multiple players across multiple managers that have had these issues. It's not just going to be solved by going to another club if you're still not going to apply yourself in the way that you need to. And so with Sancho at Chelsea, I mean, I think like Sancho needs a high line to play against. And so it's coincided that Chelsea have stopped playing against high lines as much, which is
but I thought he takes on. But I thought he's one of the best in the league in taking on his man.
But when there's no space to go into, recently he doesn't want to take anyone on. That's what I'm saying in terms of that bravery. He just doesn't.
Can I just add to that?
That's one massive thing he lacks.
You know what the problem is? I do think Sancho is a big problem at Chelsea. Sancho is
he's not. Option. We've got more worries than Sancho.
Yeah, Sancho is a super cheap option for Chelsea that even if he doesn't work, they can sell him for profit because only £25 million, guys. If Chelsea offer Sancho to anyone, they will pay 30 and Chelsea just recoup their money, basically. That done.
Do you know what, Mo? Yeah? I think Chelsea fans have to be patient with Sancho because the best Sancho you see is when he's got a focal point to play off, right? You've seen it in Dortmund when he played off Haaland. You've seen it even in a few England games with Kane. I remember a game that stands out against Spain. I think he was good. I think once Chelsea, because I think we all agree, Chelsea are going to bring in that big number 9 in the summer. I think we can all agree that. I think that's when they most probably will. It's not a definite, but I just think that's when you're going to see the best Sancho next season. I genuinely think next season will be his not, I can't say breakout year because he's still a big profile, but you'll see the best of Sancho, I think, similar to what we saw at Dortmund next season for Chelsea. That's
You're not wrong. Do you think that the best Sancho we see is when their side is in transition? Because I think when Chelsea were allowed to play in a manner that allowed them to be free and have this transitional moment in the game that I think influenced the games. Like I think back to like Wolves and West Ham, Brighton, obviously when they played a really high line against us. I don't think there were any question marks around Sancho. Even Bournemouth at times allowed Sancho to have that sort of space. And I think Rory said it as well. He needs that high line. I look back at Dortmund. I think about Dortmund in the Champions League when Sancho had some really good games. They were like really open, free-flowing games where you had like runners in behind. And I think Sancho in a team that are sitting back, I don't think there's the space for him to beat his man because I don't think he's got enough speed. And I also think that he takes a lot of touches. So he also does slow the game down a little bit. But if there's no space, he slows the game down almost too much to allow the defense just to get back into the position. But I also don't think he is Chelsea's biggest issue right now.
Biggest issue on Chelsea is Cole Palmer at the current moment. Let me just do this couple of super chats. Give me Premier League and Carabao and I'm good for the season. Yes. Yes, Mookie. Yeah. Premier League for Liverpool only. Yeah.
Saying give me the Prem and I'm good for the season. That's like me saying, hey, listen, just give me $1 million and I'll be okay. No shit, you'll be okay. Oh no, wallahi, if you win the Premier, you'll be okay. Okay, good to know.
Wait, who does Mookie support?
Liverpool fan.
Oh no, that's realistic. Like I don't know how realistic it is. Someone hands you a meal.
Big up AMD. Big up to everyone. Just to want to take this time to say, how about them Chiefs? I hope you all have a great day ahead of brothers. Who watched the Super Bowl yesterday?
Yeah, how about that halftime show? I think that's like the worst I've ever seen.
It was dreadful. I don't know a thing about
so
America.
bad.
I actually
Reality
didn't watch
hit.
the
That's
game
what
at
I'm
all.
saying. Reality hit.
I didn't watch the game. But big up AMD. Hit that like button, guys. We're not on 200 likes. I have over 500 people in the chat. So hit that like button, people. Let's get to 300 likes. I actually think Cole Palmer is the main problem at Chelsea. It's the main problem. Him underperforming is why Chelsea are struggling, in my opinion.
Is it him or is it the manager, though?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's not the problem.
Now
I think it's Maresca.
No, hold on a minute. Didn't you say before that it's more than...
Right? People just ask me. I actually think that Cole Palmer might not be performing because of the manager's tactics.
Yeah.
But at the end, it's on the manager to get the best out of him.
Yeah.
Okay, so his
also,
bad
he needs
form
to
is
step
the
up.
problem, but you're not necessarily blaming him. For
I'm
his
not blaming him or the manager. I don't know. That's why we're on a panel to discuss it. You get my point. That's why we're discussing it.
But you said earlier, I literally heard you say if it's more than 9 players who aren't performing, you look at the manager. So
maybe it is.
Yeah,
but
so who's
in the same time,
right now?
But in the same time, Cole Palmer must rise above everyone. Isn't
a
he
certain
supposed to
degree.
be the exactly? He's not.
Palmer outperformed to such a level that Pochettino had no choice but to focus the team on him. Pochettino's only option was, okay, let's just double down and just get the best out of Palmer. Maresca's gone with a different option to that, and it's not working. And so you could argue Chelsea as a team still actually play better than they might have done under Pochettino, but the output's not there because Palmer's output's not there because the team isn't focused on doing what he does best.
No,
It'd be the same if Arne Slot had come in and not focused on getting the best out of Mohamed Salah, Liverpool probably wouldn't be top of the league.
Do you want that? Do you know that before you go on, Ches? But you know what the difference is, to be honest with you, Rory? If Mohamed Salah, if Arne Slot is not focused on Mohamed Salah is not performing, the media will slaughter him. If Bukayo Saka is not the focal point for Arsenal and he doesn't perform, the media will slaughter him. But Cole Palmer and Foden gets different treatment. That is a problem. We are sitting here blaming Maresca for Palmer not performing. But if Arteta has the wrong tactics and Saka's not performing or Salah is not performing, everyone will here be blaming them. Do you know why? Because we put them on that pedestal. Once you are on that pedestal, you need to be judged regardless of how the rest of the team are doing. That is what happened with Salah. That's what happened with Mane. Right?
This is
very
what I
young,
was trying to...
I think
Staffy, it's not even that. I don't think Palmer's performed that badly, though. I don't look at...
Yeah,
I
I'd
can look
agree.
at
I think
Palmer,
he
I can
hasn't
look
been good for a few games. And
Stuff, but what I'd
Yeah, but
say
he's
is
still
last
putting
game,
up. He's still
last
scoring.
game
and putting
wasn't
up
a good
numbers.
anecdote for him. Like, it wasn't a good example to use. So last game, I could say he hasn't performed very well to his standard. But
the game
before
before,
that,
by the way, he played well, and I saw
he's-
people.
like, I don't think he's
What was the
performed
game
that
where
badly.
you guys got
Yeah.
an own goal?
Yeah,
What was that game?
But
that
then,
was
Chess,
the
don't
West
you
Ham
think-
game.
don't you think
West Ham. The
Chess,
West Ham game.
he didn't
One second,
perform badly in
the West
that
Ham game. I know he didn't score. He technically was the reason for that own goal. But I look
But
at
you
all
know-
his actions that day. He
Bro,
was very
he
active in
crossed the
foul
ball and it hit someone's leg.
No,
and
no,
went
no,
to
no,
goal.
no,
Let me
no,
finish.
no,
You're
no,
gonna
no,
understand
no,
what
no.
I'm saying.
I've got a question for...
That's exactly. By the way, you guys.
Finish my thought.
you
You just
guys-
yelled at me. Just
Hold
let
on,
me
you
finish.
guys. I'm not yelling. It's maybe on my because of the headphones. You guys
No,
are
you're just
literally
Egyptian.
making my
You're
point.
loud.
We're
I'm
not.
loud. I'm Egyptian. You guys are making my point. He performed well because he crossed the ball and someone hit it.
Okay,
It's
so
right.
can I explain this?
This
Can I
is my
explain this?
point,
One second,
right?
let me explain, please, because that was the point that I wanted to get to, and you guys didn't let me finish. too many times, I think players do the correct decisions in the final third and they have positive actions. But when it doesn't result to a direct goal or an assist, people downplay what they did in the game. Cole Palmer, that game, even though that goal doesn't count for him because he crossed it and it went in, I looked at Cole Palmer. Every time he got the ball, he was direct, he was going to the box, and he was putting the ball in, or he was trying to shoot. Sometimes when a player does that and you end up winning the game off a lucky deflection or something like that, I have to praise you for it. The other day, Garnacho, when we got a goal from Xerxes, he put the cross in. He did it 5 times. One of them we scored from. It didn't count as an assist because it bounced off a defender first. But I'm looking at it. I'm like, if Garnacho's not there to put that ball in, we don't score. So that is a positive attacking action that I'm going to take from you. Palmer that day did that. But people looked at it as like, oh, you got lucky because it was an own goal. But I was the only one putting the ball in the box. That has to count for something. Like, I feel like people just don't count that because it's not a direct GA.
His GA this season has his one-take one. The GA this season hasn't been that bad. It's actually been decent. It's not as good as last year.
About the last couple games, that's all.
But yeah, Staffy, your point was basically what you're trying to say is he's performing well, but people aren't finishing their chances. That's why we look at the manager and the system. And in my opinion, going like linking the striker and the way we're playing, we're missing that profile on the left, like Neto. We're missing that striker up front who can do a bit of everything, like a Delap or Sesko if you rate him that highly. And right now, we're very reliant on Palmer because no one else is providing in the system. So it is on the manager to kind of change things up to get the best out of the players. Because right now, we literally got a pacey winger. On the other side, Sancho is not pacey. He needs a striker in and around him who's got that pace. And we've got no one. We've got Nkuku dropped into DM last game against Brighton.
I got a question for you and Dan. Actually, the panel is all right. One of Cole Palmer's biggest attributes, in my opinion, is his confidence. He's off the cuff. He'll try something audacious, and some more or less it comes off. I actually think right now, and you lot might think I'm crazy, I think he's going for a bit of a confidence issue, and I'll say that to say this, right? When the Man City game, when he goes in kind of one-on-one and he tries to square it, last season, I think he buries that. Even earlier this season, I think he buries that. And then there was a situation in the West Ham game where I think he's laid it off instead of just going for goal. Now, we know he doesn't have issues with confidence, but I think as of now, I think he's going through a little confidence dip. That's all. And that's not to say he won't get it back. He won't get his confidence back. He's an exceptional player. We all know this. But right now, not only his performance, I just don't think he's trying things that he was trying last season and earlier this season. I don't know what you two think.
Rom, do you see that City game, right, where he's passed it to Jackson, which is like the one where everyone thought, whoa, hang on, why is he not shot? It's Cole Palmer. I think he's genuinely trying to bring the others up with him. And I think he never plays that pass if Jackson was in better form. If Jackson was in better form, I don't think he plays the pass.
Is he doing that out of the goodness of his own heart, or is he doing that?
I think he's trying to help the team. I think.
But is Maresca telling him?
No, Maresca's not telling him to do that because ultimately Cole Palmer sticks that away and finishes that opportunity. Like Maresca's job's in a better position than what it is today, right? He'd have Cole Palmer put that in the back of the net 9 times out of 10. I think Cole Palmer is well aware that his other players are struggling and they're in, it's like giving the penalty to a striker when he hasn't scored in a while or something like that. I think he was trying to put it on a plate for Jackson.
But Dan, listen to that point. When you're that guy that's the best player in your team and you're capable of still, you need to be selfish. Forget trying to bring up.
No, you do. But Roms, he's still young. He's still young and he's still they're all mates and they're trying to look at. I think he's trying to look out for each other. Do you know what, Roms? That's actually Chelsea being a victim of the culture that's been created at the club now. Is that the ruthlessness has been removed from Chelsea? The ruthlessness has gone. Like Drogba and Lampard were fighting for Premier League top scorer against Wigan when we ended up winning like 8-1. They fought over a penalty. Like they were that annoyed because Drogba wanted to
and Jackson did that, and everyone was raging about them.
But look at Rory, and do you know what? Off the back of that, I wouldn't use that example. We probably learned enough to know that we could have moved those two players on. To be honest, it was against Everton. We still scored 6 goals. Like it was absolutely ridiculous. Dave Palmer got that hat trick. The ruthlessness
fighting over a penalty when both of you are trying to win the golden boot is completely different than being a stinky team that can't win. But you guys are fighting over who gets the GA on the day. You're both shit. Okay?
That was embarrassing. Let's have it right. That was embarrassing.
That was so embarrassing.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. I'd rather fight when one of us is going to win the goal.
Bro, Staffy, I support Chelsea and I cringe. I was like, bro.
That was so bad. I actually vlogged that game, mate, and I was like, what is going on? That was awful.
Too cringe.
The question is, Shez, I'm going to put you on the spot. So you texted me when you were here in the conversation. Big up for watching, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And you said, people, I'm just going to quote watch it. This is very important. Shez always comes up with the good questions. He's saying, this is premature. You need to judge Maresca at the end of the season. But the question is, we are February now, and we're discussing, we're having a debate. Do you think, based on what you are seeing now from Chelsea, that Maresca can turn this around?
There's not much evidence to go off other than the first 18 games, but I'm still think we're going to make top 4 in the Conference League. So I'm going to stay with my, my pre-assumed assumption of the game and the season so far. I'm not going to change my opinion based on the Brighton game, but things do change. I'm not going to flip-flop now. I don't think the time is now to say it's all over. I don't think the Chelsea fan are being overreactionary, but what I would say is this energy weren't here when we were top of the league, second place or in the league.
No.
That's what I would say. So I'm not saying that.
Yeah, but Ches, we didn't have any evidence.
But Dan, here's the thing. You see,
we lost 2 games.
Here's the thing, Dan.
One
second. Because when I was saying at the time, right, people put me into the corner. You're going to win the league.
No, by the way, I'm going to sit here actually and just address this quickly. Yeah. I've sat here on this show all season long saying there's issues in this Chelsea team, even when we were second in the league.
No, you have.
I said,
but not everybody though.
Not because I understand what I'm watching. Yeah. I don't have agendas. I just say what I see.
No, because you're negative.
I'm honest. I'm honest.
Dan's
joking, then I'm joking.
But it is Postecoglou 2.0. No one was questioning any flaws in Tottenham's game when they were top of the league.
Rory is not. It was 18 games. It's a bit different. It's not
that much different though.
It was only
it was just
4 or 5 weeks
their
ago.
Injury crisis came a little bit earlier.
Does that
what I'm saying, Dan, one second. I think it's a bit different. I'll tell you why.
We've got a better team than Spurs though.
If we beat Everton,
18 games.
Are you a better team than Spurs with their starting 11 last season with Van de Ven, Romero, Porro, Vicario? Are you really better than them?
What I would say, halfway through the season, we could have been top of the league. Why are we just ignoring this? That happened.
Thank you,
That's my point. Halfway through the season, so it was 18, 19 games, right? If we beat Everton, we would have gone top of the league. Then
if Arsenal won 3 games, they would have been
hang on, right? Ches, right? I absolutely hear what you're saying, but we had no evidence. By the time we
isn't that, Dan. One second. Ches, my main point isn't that. My main point is, we explain it. You understand what I'm trying to say? So basically, at that point, we could have gone top. A lot of the fan base, maybe you was consistent, but a lot of the fan base wasn't talking about Maresca as a manager being inexperienced. They were speaking on it in terms of can he fall off, but at the time it was 18 games. Is a big sample size. That's not 5 games, not 10. It's 18. Could have gone top of the league. The football was decent, it weren't great, and we were getting along, winning our games when Liverpool dropped points, Arsenal dropped points.
They're in the moment.
And then all of a sudden, now the last 10 games, we won 2 of them, and now it's like, oh look, the team is so bad and so average. It's like that's why when Mo's asking the question, you can make top 4. I'm not going to waver from it yet. If we lose to Brighton, Aston Villa away, and then we draw to Leicester at home, Southampton at home, then obviously my stance will change. But I don't think necessarily it's the point where I have to completely revamp how I feel about my team. Does that make sense?
Have you seen your last 4 games of the season? I've literally just checked your fixture.
Yeah, the running
football doesn't work like that though, Roms. When you see bad
Roms, have you seen the next 2 games? On the last 4 games, they play Aston Villa and Brighton away. They lose these 2, they can drop to 7.
Either way,
are we going to lose both games?
Brighton away and Aston Villa away back to back.
Are we going to lose both games, man? In your opinion?
Hang on, Ches, quick.
I think there is do you want me to answer? There is a big possibility you lose both games.
Right. No, hang on. This is important. Ches, wait. This is an important thing to look at, right? Is that this season we've already played Brighton. We scored 4. We've already played Aston Villa. We scored 3. We've just gone out to Brighton in the FA Cup. This is where the evidence is now being provided that the swing of the momentum and what's being suggested that could happen in these next 2 games shows that there is a huge difference and a huge change in the direction of Chelsea Football Club in just a matter of months, because potentially the manager and his tactics have been found out and he doesn't have an option to change it up. That's why Chelsea fans are starting to doubt him, because every time someone does something against Maresca, he's got nothing to go back to it with.
I think he's a very average man.
That's true.
What?
I agree with this logic, by the way. But if this is true, so we saying we're not even going to finish top 6 then?
I think Dan, let me tell him what we. So Ches, what we started the Chelsea section.
No.
what we said in the beginning of the show is that we went from the conversation that the majority of us are saying that Chelsea are kind of really guaranteed top 4, or they are ahead of everyone in the top 4, to now saying that it's a massive possibility that Chelsea don't make top 4 or top 5.
Facts. That's facts. Yeah.
That is the problem. What happened? That is what Dan is talking about. We switched from September, October to say, no, Chelsea will make top 4. They should focus on the cups now because the league form is here. He's doing well, blah, blah, blah. To us sitting here and saying, well, Chelsea can lose 2 games and the last games are tough. And Rory presented the last 5 games in the run as something and said, you can really sit being 6 or 7 in the season instead of being spoken about as you can get second. That is
I agree with that, Mo. I agree with that's what I'm trying to say is that people are saying now, like, oh, that makes a good point. That the form's regressed so much where people don't believe he could change it up and therefore get the wins, therefore make top 4. So we literally saying here now, because you asked me a defensive question, so I'm asking the panel, Chelsea won't make top 6, guys. Like we're saying.
It could happen.
There's now a possibility.
It's a question, not a statement. I'm asking.
Very simple. Let me.
You might have done enough already to mean that you don't fully drop out of it, in the same way that Spurs did enough at the start of last season that they got Europa League. But you began to get figured out. People began to figure out Maresca in December. We're now heading into mid-February, and nothing has changed. He hasn't proven that he can now adapt to the people that have played him once and figured him out. And that is exactly what Spurs
his squad is now weaker.
Yeah, and that's exactly
he's also made statements that are away from the football side of thing, away from tactics. When Mo was saying there was all this hype about Chelsea and we didn't have to worry about top 4 and we could look ahead of us and potentially go top, the only person that was vocally suggesting anything different was the manager of the football club. He was saying, we're not in a title race. It doesn't matter where I finish, 4th, 5th, 6th. It doesn't matter. The only person who didn't have that mentality that everyone else did around Chelsea was Enzo Maresca. The only person. And that alone, I think, has absolutely ruined Chelsea's season. 100%. Because I think what we've seen this season, and the one thing I'll agree with you, Don, who said this to me last season, was there are players in this team that are better than what our level in the league is suggesting. And I do think Maresca showed that there is some serious ability in some of these players, but they have to be in a team that are winning. When the going gets tough, I'm not sure that the mentality is there as a squad.
You just said about going gets tough. What people don't understand as well is there's 2 parts of the season, isn't it? The first part is open, expansive football. Everybody plays, open football. You can score goals and all that stuff. Second half, all the teams are going to play differently because there's positions in the Premier League to play for. And can Chelsea get through these stages when things are difficult? That's the question you need to ask yourself when you're looking at the players that you have right now. And this is why
I think you'll be.
Can I give you a definitive answer? Can I give you a definitive answer?
I want a definitive answer from you guys.
Based on the evidence I've seen over the past 3 months, I don't think Maresca can turn it around to play the same football that has happened in the beginning of the season.
Nope.
I agree with you.
And if you get
the other managers won't allow him to do it, Mo. They won't allow him to do that now.
So that is a definitive answer.
Like,
we have
just
evidence.
use that Brighton game. I can't remember what's the guy's name. Brighton, the manager. Hertz,
Hertz is whatever.
Me and Rory come on after that game when Chelsea battered Brighton like 4-0, whatever, 4-2. And we said he's so naive. How on earth has he set up like that? Did he not see what happened to Tottenham? Maresca did the same to Man City, by the way, and then we lost that Man City game. But ultimately, he learned his lesson and went, right, there's no way the next time I play Chelsea, we set up like that. He didn't. They won. And actually, that game where they scored 2, they actually, going forward, caused Chelsea a lot of issues that day. They just defensively were all over the place. Maresca's not. Hertz has shown that he's learned from his mistake. I've not seen Maresca do that once. Ches, I think we get top 6, but we might do it by the skin of our teeth. If you want a definitive answer, what I will say though is not if we don't get top 4 or 5 to get Champions League football. What are the consequences for Chelsea? Like, obviously, it might mean Maresca loses his job. Blah blah blah.
We know what's going to happen.
What are the consequences? Does it mean Cole Palmer leaves?
I'll tell you what they should be and what they will be.
Circumstances like that.
What should happen is the board, whoever's in charge, Egbali, to be specific, would sack the sporting directors because they've done a poor job for the last 2-3 years. What will happen is the manager will get sacked and they'll get anyone in. That's just reality.
So you think that's the only consequence, Ches, is that manager gets sacked? That's not
what I want. I'm telling you what will happen. I'm not saying. Right. I think, in my opinion, the sporting directors should go if they don't make top 4.
No, but what? Yeah. So tell me what you think will happen, because I think
I told you. I think they'll get rid of the manager and bring another one in. I think they'll PR it, spin it,
Yeah,
where
I've already said that. I think that's
I don't
exactly
know if
what
you
will
said that,
happen,
but
right?
I think they'll spin it. They'll be like, oh, we came, we're second in the league first half, and the manager kind of lost the dressing room. They'll spin it that way. They'll bring a new guy in and rinse and repeat. The
Do you
issue is
think players want to leave? Like,
no,
do you
not
think
yet.
no, not
Because
yet.
I don't
Too
think the
early.
team's far off. This is why I came on the show, right? Because I don't generally think my team. The manager has a lot to blame in terms of like the stubbornness and the fact that I think, or Staffy said about how you don't believe you can change it around. Therefore, we might got top 6 and top 4. That's fair. I also do believe at the same time we've been hampered with our spine being missing based on form and injuries, and also the board hasn't given him the players I think any manager needed, regardless if he brought in. So Maresca joining or not, I think we need a striker, which I've been
what
saying
is the
all along.
spine? Because I actually don't think Chelsea have a spine yet. I think they failed.
That's my
point.
That's my point, Dan. That's what I'm
issue.
trying to say. In the summer, regardless if we got Maresca or whatever manager we brought in, it would have been an issue because we didn't get a striker, because we didn't get a goalkeeper, mainly them two. And the centre-backs, people argue. People rate Cole. I don't necessarily rate him that highly. But we still need a centre-back. You could argue. So there's 3 players in our spine we didn't get, regardless of Maresca being here or not. That's my point. So I'm not giving Maresca leeway and saying, yeah, you can lose against Brighton, you can lose in the league to this team, and you can lose to Fulham at home. But at the same time, did the board really do the most to help him out? No. So that's why,
because they're scapegoating him, Ches. Like, they don't want to have to go and ask for more money because they've already spent
they spend money. They had Samu nearly there. They had Duran 1 sign away.
Did they? Or maybe Durant, maybe Samu, sorry. But
Duran
did they have Duran that
Duran
close?
and Samu, whether they listened to the club and the fans and didn't buy the players, we'll never know. But the fact is, we were this close to getting them, and they actually would have fit the profile of our team right now. That would have made. I don't think Chelsea's far off from being where we should be in the league, right? How we was 5-10 weeks ago. I think we should still be there now. But because of these small margins, the players being off form, the manager's been a bit stubborn, the injuries, that's why we've kind of trickled lower down the league. I don't think it's been like we played horribly and Palmer's been. I think it's just been small margins in these games.
Well, yeah, we have seen some games where we all as fans could tactically see what Maresca needed to do, and he didn't do it.
100%.
And if he had done that, he probably would have won the game. Yeah.
There's been certain games me and Dan could agree that he is a big part of it. Yes, for example, Brighton game was poor. Tactically, he was really poor. The whole game, he wasn't really in it. Our goal was fortuitous. Cool. But a lot of the other games,
Fulham, Brentford. Like Brentford, we obviously won it, but Fulham was poor.
I don't know. Fulham game is grouped the Brighton game. Man City as well. So let's say 3.
Everton, the last 10, didn't do enough to go and win a game against Everton. I think Everton done enough to
win. I disagree. I think Everton done enough to win. Jackson hit the post twice and missed the south. We done enough to win that game. Look at the.
No, I've spoken to some Everton fans. They couldn't believe it.
Ipswich game. We didn't do enough to lose that game. It weren't that great.
We lost it 2-0 though, Ches. We obviously.
Ches, you got cooked in the Ipswich game.
Yeah, we were.
I don't know. I personally think that. My point is, whether you get rid of Maresca or not, if they don't adjust the spine of the team, a striker and the goalkeeper,
more money thrown at Chelsea.
Money.
If you keep making mistakes, you're gonna have to keep spending money. And that's why surely eventually the sporting directors will come into question, because the owners will say, what is this money really going on?
But that's what Rory always talk about. Not a lot of clubs have this privilege. They tend to fail because they have no privilege like this.
I genuinely don't think Chelsea have that privilege anymore, because I think so much money has been spent that there isn't, we're not selling players for profit like we were doing. We're having to now loan them out. You know, Chelsea were able to get 30 million for Lewis Hall and like 30 million for a player here and there, like Maatsen or something like that. Someone like Vega has not played enough football in a team that's been good enough to go and generate profit straight away. He's had to go out on a straight loan. The same with a number of other players in João Felix, who cost 50 million. So Chelsea's revenue in terms of player sales will dry up. Chelsea's revenue in terms of incomings, in terms of merch and that, will probably actually improve. But we haven't got a front of shirt sponsor. So that's another 40 million a season that this club aren't getting. The money that was there, that was available to spend, was like a debt write-off from Roman Abramovich and had to be spent on the team over a 10-year period. They've spent it in like 2 years. That money now is no longer going to be coming from the club. I genuinely think they only spent that money because it was there to spend, and it was another loophole, if you like, to put money into the team to potentially generate profit. I don't see this venture capitalist investment group who are running Chelsea taking money from their own back pockets like Roman Abramovich does or Nottingham Forest owners does because it was their shiny toy. They want money back out of this. And I don't see them putting in more. And I think they're at a point now where they don't want to spend much more. And there's already been addresses from them saying we can't have the wages we used to have because in terms of revenue, Chelsea don't make enough to have those wages on those wage bills that we had before. Well, if you hadn't spent 1.6 billion, you might have been able to attract the biggest players on bigger wages. Genuinely, I don't think there's much more money to come.
So can I ask a question? Go ahead.
I think that's a bit hyperbolic in my opinion. I think that's a bit.
I think the start that they had kind of gave them misled them into thinking that life would always be like that. That life would always be that you could sell Mount for 60 million and Havertz for 65 and Koulibaly
and Champions League revenue.
Champions League, yeah, like all of those things that they started with. Suddenly it's like, okay, well, we haven't got the big load of cash that we started with. We're not getting the money that we want for our players. We're not getting Champions League revenue. I think there's a bit of a reality check, and how they handle that will be interesting.
No, I think.
Can I ask one last question?
I think we're doing too much here. There's elite revisionism right now. Elite.
Can I ask a question then? You said revisionism. If what Dan is saying that you don't have the money, are you worried for the future of Chelsea?
If you're going by Dan's hyperbolic, very negative nature, then of course I would be. But I don't think
Chez.
I don't think that's
Chez, because I'm not sat here attacking your nature. If we want to start that, we'll do it off the screen, right? So don't come on the show.
Why are you getting so? Why are you getting
no. I don't think.
Chez, hang on, let me say this.
Hold on.
Chez, at what point?
I don't think I meant it this way.
No, sorry, no, hang on. Let me speak, right? Chez, shut up and let me address this. At what point have I questioned your nature? Yeah, see you later, Chez. At what point have I questioned your nature?
I don't think. Guys, can I speak? Guys, I'm speaking. I don't think he meant it this way. I think.
My nature
No, hold on.
Talk to me about what's going on.
Dan and Chez, wait for me to address this, guys. Anyway, he just. I don't think he actually meant it this way. I think the picture you painted, Dan, is a little bit of like, okay, we're not going to have the best times. We're not going to have the best time. We don't have the money now, so that is the problem. You get my point, Dan. I'm not here defending what you understood.
I think Dan's right. You know,
I actually agree with Dan. Looking at what Dan presented, he presented evidence.
You know, at a fundamental level,
money.
When we were trying to figure out what Chelsea's plan was, the one thing that we could all say, even if we didn't think they had a plan or didn't know what the plan was, the one thing we could all say was, okay, they're spending an insane amount of money, and like the objective is to fast track a process, right? That we could all sit here and say they're trying to spend their way through the process that other teams have had to go through. They're 3 years deep into that process now. At what point do you say that, like, no matter what at this point, that has failed as an objective? Because 3 years into even Arteta's project, Arsenal had an actual functioning title race. Like Klopp at Liverpool, it didn't take 3 years before, maybe 4 years. I don't know why this is suddenly, I'm fading into. But we're at the point now where no matter what, the objective has failed. And now we see actually, okay, well, if you do try and spend your way to fast track the process and it doesn't work, what sort of a hole do you leave yourselves in? Because I feel like they have dug a big hole now, and there just aren't that many. Like, I feel like they could get into that situation that Barca got into, where suddenly you're pulling like these insane levers to try and get yourself out of that hole that you've put yourselves in. And yeah, I feel like ultimately Dan was kind of right with what he said.
I know that based on what Dan said, I'm convinced that what Dan said is correct. No money. They had the money from Abramovich debt. And I think
to go on that point, Mo, I think no money is drastic because Chelsea will make revenue on player sales and there will be money, but there isn't another 1.6 billion.
By the way,
coming up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Just because someone in the chat said, what have Arsenal won? Absolutely fair point. Arsenal haven't won anything. But if you were looking at it from a business perspective, qualifying for the Champions League consistently, all of our sponsorship deals have massively increased because we're in title races. Like, from a business perspective, Arsenal now are making an awful lot more money. Even player sales, like we're selling players for more money because of how well we're playing. Like, admittedly, from the perspective of winning things is one thing, but the perspective of a business making money, Arsenal are making a lot more money now than we were 5 years ago.
I know Roms have to go. I know Roms, bigger Roms. Thank you for joining. And I spoke to, okay, so I think there's a misunderstanding here. what Shez, I think, from my understanding, and Shez can correct me if I'm wrong, when Shez said Dan's negative views, it's that the picture that you portrayed, Dan, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, is that Chelsea are going into a dark era in terms of the money, and you can't spend the money. And that is the negative view. And that is what I understood from you, to be honest with you.
I personally don't think that's a negative view. I'm just saying what I see. I'm not sat here being all doom and gloom, and that's like if things are going well for Chelsea, I'll sit here and be like, yeah, it's going well. I don't personally think that how Ches said it was worded correctly, to be honest with you. Whether he's meant that or not, I don't know. But don't do that on the street. If you've got an issue with my persona, do it away.
No, but I don't think there is any. I don't think there is any person.
Okay, let's go back to the clip then, and we'll show it because everyone in the chat thought there was an issue with how it was said as well. So let's go back and run the clip again if we want to. I don't think that's professional. This is the rational league. I think the conversation has gone away from that.
I thought the conversation was very good, actually.
No, but I think that I didn't come on to paint a doom and gloom picture. I never do. I come on to say what I see at any football club.
100%. And this is why we're here for, right? That's why we're here for.
I've never labeled myself.
Let me play exactly what I said, yeah? Let's do me a favor. Yeah. It's your stream, right? Replay exactly what I said.
Yes. Ches, I think what we'll do is we'll do that away. Yeah, but Ches, you said I think we do that away from the show because I don't think this show.
I don't think there is anything personal.
I didn't say anything about his persona. He used those words twice.
This is why Dan, I understood him wrong, Dan. To be honest,
Dan, I didn't say you're a negative individual. I said your opinion of the club. That was actually my words. Why are we changing it?
I don't think Dan that he means that you are a negative.
I wasn't trying to trigger anybody or whatever. I literally said my own opinion.
It's just a misunderstanding, guys. You know what I mean?
I really think it's a misunderstanding. It's a massive misunderstanding.
I'm a respectful person. Staffy and Roms know me. You know me. Why tell me to shut up on the stream for no reason?
Because Ches, I think
I want to play it again, Dan. Don't do that. Like I wasn't.
To be honest with you, let's explain the point. I think Dan portrayed the picture. Yeah. I think it's if I'm looking at Dan's picture, being rational, this is not an objective. This is not a positive picture about the future of the football club. Is that correct, Dan? And I agree with you. I agree with Dan that if the guys don't have the money and they don't have to spend, how are they going to correct? How are they going to rectify the mistakes that they did? Isn't that your point, Dan? They have no way of rectifying the mistakes, right? So that picture of Chelsea is not looking great. And that is the question I asked. And I think the word negative is not, I'm not going to speak for Chelsea. He can speak for himself. It's not meant to you. It's meant to the picture that is there for Chelsea. Does that make sense? Am I wrong here? Guys?
Well, I'm just getting the clip up so I can show everybody the clip.
Just to run the clip back, Ches, you actually said going by Dan's very hyperbolic negative nature. If that is an attack on the person, then I don't know what is. Because if you're suggesting that's my nature, then I think that's a step too far. I don't want to discuss this anymore on this show. Mo, if you're going to allow it to happen, I'll remove myself from the panel today and we'll move on Friday and do it again. Because I'm not going to sit here wasting my time talking about this. It's as simple as that. I'll come off because I want to talk about football. I want to talk about what's going on in the football.
That's what we're here for.
And ultimately, I come on this show because I believe it's a rational conversation. Right now, this is anything but.
Dan, you don't need to be removed, mate. We know what's happened. Just let's move on. Let's just move on, please, guys. Yeah, let's just discuss football, man.
We're here to talk about the football. We're here to talk about the football.
I wasn't finishing my point, so Dan can understand it. It wasn't. Forget what I said about the.
Yes, he said you could talk to him.
I'm talking about the footballing point. I'm not talking about that conversation.
Yes,
I can talk football. I don't need to talk about that.
Let's talk about the football. Go back to football.
Go back to football. Yeah. Come on. I'm chill. I was a bit annoyed before. I'm calm. It's not deep. I was just saying that I disagree with Dan's point on us not being able to spend money and stuff. I don't think it's that far gone. Yeah, I think that the club can still sell the assets they brought into the club. The young players, for example, Cassidy counts as a homegrown player on the books, for example, bought in for cheap money. You don't make profit on him, but it still counts as not more money you can spend, but we know how it works, right? Cool. So from that standpoint, there's still a lot of money to be had in this team. And if you get Champions League football, for example, win trophies. So I don't think it's a point where we can't spend all this money. But at the same time, when Dan's saying we can't spend a lot of money, I don't think we should be spending 100 millions on Enzo Caicedo. We don't need that. You bought your spine, young players you thought can progress to a certain level. Now add a few pieces in, like people say, experienced players to help us push in the league. I don't think we need to spend
there's an argument.
100, 200 million.
I think
Go on,
there's
go
an
on,
argument
Rory,
you
yeah.
do. I think there's an argument you do though. I think there's an argument that you need a goalkeeper.
Yep.
You possibly need a right back based on the way Gusto's played in Reece James's injury form. You need at least one elite centre back. Colwill, I still actually have question marks, but I think you could do with him for a few years. Midfield, I think you're fine. And then you probably need an elite striker and possibly an elite left winger. So I think you're 5 or 6 players, elite players away.
It's 250 plus million.
It's expensive.
So you guys don't think we can spend that money? I think we can.
But
I think we can.
Okay, so to be honest with you, Shez, Dan has presented an argument about the owners had the money from Roman Abramovich. The owners used to sell players with top money like Havertz and Mount, right? Where is the money coming from?
And can I just add
I told you already,
to
man.
that question though? And even if Ches is right and you can spend that money, based on the way they've just blown through 1.5 billion, do you back them to spend it in a way that's actually going to make a difference?
No, I don't. I agree with Rory there. So when it comes about spending the money correctly, that's why I brought up the point earlier about the striker we needed and the goalkeeper, regardless of of the manager we bring in the summer. So when Dan said we haven't got a spine, I agreed with him because we don't. And the spine we do have is a bunch of injury-prone players like Lavia and Fofana who cost a total of about 140 million. So the spine we did create can't even play football. And I don't like using injuries.
So basically, you need more money. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
that's what I said.
So Ches, where's the elite revisionism in that then? Because you just made the point.
Here's my point. Because we were speaking about earlier,
it was elite revisionism. But you're sat there agreeing with what's being suggested.
So the part where you said about us not being able to spend loads of money, I disagree with. And also the part I wanted to speak up on before we got into misunderstanding was about when we talk about the previous ownership. Because they were the ones who got us in this mess despite us winning the trophies we did towards the end of their reign. That's revisionism I'm talking about. People act like towards the end of Roman's reign, we had the perfect wage structure, the perfect signings. They just got booted out for political reasons we're going to speak about. And now all of a sudden this has happened. The reason why they've gone down this route is because the club was declining. Transfers, trophies, league position, cups, all of it. In fact, mentioned on this stream with Roms, he's speaking about 4 finals with Liverpool. We lost, I think, more than half of those under Roman. So my point was, now we're acting like the wage structure was perfect before, and now it's the reason why they have to change it is because, like they said, our revenue isn't that high from the stadium. The income from cups wasn't coming in because we weren't winning any. So therefore, they changed the whole structure in order to get the team growing from the bottom to rise up again.
Ches, when they come into the club,
So
we won a Champions League the year before.
Yeah, okay, we agree there that they shouldn't.
No one in this conversation is saying that Chelsea's previous ownership was correct and perfect. I think we all knew at times there was flaws, and the fact that we moved on from manager so quickly again and again and again and never really allowed one to build something was often questioned by so many other teams. But for Roman Abramovich's era to only have one season where it didn't ever win a trophy in like 20 years, I think that suggests that there was a lot also correct in that blueprint and in that model that fans bought into, and fans also didn't really mind if 300 grand was being spent on wages on someone that added something to the club. We didn't really have an issue because we actually felt, do you know what? We pay our money and we're not being forgotten about here. We're actually being rewarded with something. This club are trying to spend. They're trying to have the best talent. They're trying to win trophies season in, season out. Yes, there were issues off the back of probably not winning a couple of trophies at Wembley that we would have won in years gone by. But arguably the team wasn't as good and some of the money that was spent wasn't perfect. But to win like we did in Porto buys the manager another, buys the owner, another few years, and you can back him again and go again. Obviously, he then got removed from his post. But there is 100% evidence to suggest that since Clearlake coming to Chelsea, they have exponentially sped up the process of Chelsea's decline that you're suggesting was happening.
This where we
I actually wasn't aware Chelsea were. Yeah, but I don't think Chelsea were in a decline.
But I don't think they've done it correctly, Dan.
A year off the back, Ches, if you think a year off the back of winning the Champions League, your club is in decline, then I just think we're on different paths here, because I think everyone would take winning the Champions League and having a quiet
100%.
season.
I think this is a conversation, obviously, because we won the Champions League in the midst of declining. So it's a hard. It's a good debate, because some people would argue.
Yes,
but you could argue. You could make the same argument for 2012.
No, but
no,
hold on.
exactly
no,
the
no,
same
no,
Do you
the
remember?
difference
Do you
is-
remember the 2021? There was a transfer ban. You had Lampard, you had Tammy Abraham, and
That
then you
was
had all these players.
2019, Mo, I think, the transfer ban.
He's gone.
It's
He's
gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Most
I think
definitely.
the transfer ban was 19, maybe 18, 19. When did Hazard leave? The season after Hazard left.
We
The only
had the
person we bought in
transfer
was
ban
Kovacic.
the year we bought in
1920?
Abraham and all those guys. Mount.
Yeah.
That's what they started playing because obviously we couldn't spend money.
I think it was
And then-
1920, maybe. When did Hazard? It's whenever Hazard left that summer. Yeah, so
He
1920.
left when we beat Arsenal Baku, which was 1920.
Yeah, 19. So 1920, we weren't able to
Yeah.
sign anyone bar Kovacic. Lampard obviously did a good job in terms of making sure that Chelsea team got Champions League football. You could make the same argument that the Chelsea team that won in 2012 was in decline. Lampard wasn't at his prime. Drogba wasn't at his prime. Mata was on his way out probably to another team the season after that. That Chelsea team that won that was in decline. It wasn't till 2015 that Chelsea team went on to win the Premier League. It had to be rebuilt. It obviously won the Europa League with a couple of others, but that Chelsea team was arguably at its best when it got to the Champions League final against Manchester United when John Terry slipped and missed the penalty.
Yeah, no, again, it's fair to say that, for example, let's say then Abramovich stayed and we were declining. Who's to say he wouldn't have revamped the squad again and spent more money? 100%.
Well, he probably would have because
Exactly,
the evidence is there to suggest that he was
The
happy to write
evidence
off
is
debt.
there.
Ches, what is your point ultimately? Let's get to that because you're talking about Chelsea obviously spending money and not being able to. That's the conversation we're having right now. You're talking about an issue with the older ownership. We'll talk about the new ownership. Where are Chelsea going?
I think here's my point. Yeah, my overall point was that the reason why I disagreed with your nature on the spending money and stuff, I do think they will go above lengths to spend money on the team if they feel necessary in certain positions. For example, I think the striker we'll get in will be of a decent level quality.
What are you basing that
This
off?
is based off the idea of, for example, Caicedo and Enzo. Players, they didn't need, for example, with their regime, they had 1.5 billion to spend off rip. Debt was cleared. They didn't need to buy £100 million asset.
Do you believe there's been a change in direction at Chelsea, though, under this current ownership? Do you think that one owner now has more control than the other owner in terms of the acting of the club? Because I think Chelsea fans are most of the agreement that Todd Boehly is now not acting in the same way and has the same...
People prefer Todd Boehly because obviously he has more of the approach of Roman where it's a bit more passionate. He in the beginning, he made a mistake because he was doing it on his own, essentially. But people believe he would put the right people in place to spend the money to bring us back to the top, which I agree with to a certain degree.
So so basically, for people that don't understand, is Todd Boehly at first was sort of in control of the recruitment, putting himself in the role of sporting director, but then he also moved on to probably influencing the type of players that Chelsea were recruiting. Now Eghbali is more of the mold of Brighton, and he's publicly come out and said that.
Yeah, so that's why he's hired the two sporting directors who came in 2023 January, and that's why we're seeing the signings we made and the regression in the team because they're trying to build it from the bottom. But I just based off the signings we made, like the Caicedo Enzo, that showed me that if they believe there's certain targets that they believe to have a certain level of quality, which everyone can see, including them, they'll go out and beyond to spend that money. So I don't necessarily think they won't find a way to spend on it. I think they will. But the only difference is I don't really mind the approach. I think they've executed it wrongly. That's where we agree. That's where we kind of agree then, where you might disagree with the approach and you probably prefer how it was before. I think how it was before was good, but it was annoying me how we weren't fighting for the league. I think Staffy said we haven't fought for the league for like 8 years, and most of that was with them. So I wasn't annoyed with this change. I'm just annoyed how it's been executed. That's where we agree. If they spent the money and bought a good spine of players this summer, then cool. We can kind of see where the squad's going to go, but they're not spending it correctly. That's my only issue. That's what I'm trying to say to you. I don't think the model's that bad. I just think they're doing it in a poor way. That's my overarching point. So I don't think there's no money to spend or
so
whatever,
you're basically suggesting that the execution of the model is where the problem is, rather than the actual model itself.
100%.
Okay.
So if they
I
tweak,
hear you on that because I think they could have recruited players that would be better.
Yeah. So I was wrong saying pessimistic, whatever. I didn't mean to say it in a negative way. I put it out there for everyone.
No, I think Ches, we'll talk about that afterwards. Let's just carry on with the football.
Whatever, yeah, whatever. But what I'm trying to say, my main point is that I don't view it as a case where the team can't move on forward if the club was to adapt the way they view certain things. So they got in the Netos, which is a good experienced player in the Premier League, but we now need to see more of that and proven quality in the spine positions. And do I think they'll do that? Yes. Do I think we're going to get a striker in the summer? Yes. Do I think we're going to get a winger in the summer? Yes. A centre back? Yes. Now, where that takes us, and Maresca's still here, that's a different debate. The model is bad, Ches. I do a stream every single day. My own fans on my channel tell me this all the time. I agree with them. But I do think it could be tweaked so it can improve. But I don't know. I don't know where Mo's gone, but...
Yeah, I don't think we've spoken about United, Staffy, and since you're here, we might
Mo
as well.
lost power at home, so we're stuck here until someone comes in to end the stream. He just called me, and he didn't even hear me. I was answering. I think he's still in Egypt, so the connection is shit.
Staffy, tell me what's happening at United, because I thought Amorim was the change that you all needed, and I don't see United moving the direction that everyone thought they might do. So what's going on?
We could do that. Should we address the super chats? Even though I can't put them on the screen.
Yeah, go on then. Yeah, do you want to read them out?
Yeah, guys, listen, apologies for the people who sent the super chats. I can't put them on the screen because I don't have admin rights, but I'll still read them out. I'll give you guys shout outs and all that. And if you have any questions for the panel, I'll read it out for you. I got put in this spot over here where now I'm technically the host, so I got to do it. Don't you someone else?
I'm trying to think who the last one was. Maybe
I think it was Mookie. Luke
yeah.
Skywalker was reminding people to hit the like button, so I'm gonna move on for after that. If I miss anyone's super chat, just tell me and I'll try to read it out. But shout out to Mookie, said that comparison is not on point stuff. I don't remember what comparison you're talking about because I haven't spoken in about 30 minutes. But some people are so butthurt because of the FA Cup now and now wanting a treble. So I say the Prem and the Carabao Cup is not enough. Even just the Premier League, that's all. Oh, I think it's when I said I'd love to win $1 million and that should be enough, because he said if we win the Premier League and the Carabao Cup, that would be enough. So I kind of remember what you're talking about right now. But shout out Mookie for the super chat. And shout out Yusuf for the donation saying CP is playing. I think that's Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is playing out of position with bums. He's still elite. Put Salah or Saka in the 10. They wouldn't perform. They don't have the technical ability of Cole Palmer. It's a bit of a weird comparison because I don't think Saka and Salah were ever 10s, right? I mean,
never 10s, no.
Yeah, it's a weird way to put it.
I feel like Palmer's more suited to a 10.
We've tried Salah in the central position. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
I think he's coming from that point of saying basically if you put those teams' best players in the 10, they wouldn't perform as good as Cole Palmer. I hear it, but they were never 10s, so it's a little bit of a disingenuous comparison, in my opinion. Big Hassouni for the super chat saying, question for Mo. Well, I have bad news for you. You're not going to get an answer, but I'll pretend to be Mo and I'll answer it for you. Question for Mo and the panel. Liverpool or Arsenal in the last 30 years based on trophies? Surely Liverpool have won more in the last 30 years. No?
I'm sure.
There's 2 Champions Leagues in a league. That's more than what Arsenal did, I believe. In. Well, I mean, when you think of it, no, there's a few leagues for Liverpool. For Arsenal there.
We've won more.
I guess, yeah. I mean, the 2 Champions Leagues are alone.
Yeah.
But
okay, since 1995, Arsenal have won 1 Prem. Well, I'm just counting: 1 Prem, 2 Prem, 3 Prem, 1 FA Cup, 2 FA Cup, 3 FA Cup, 4 FA Cup. So 7 trophies and quite a few Community Shield. What's the English Super Cup? What is that? Is that the Community Shield? It's the Community Shield, right?
The Community Shield,
yeah. So I think 7 trophies. So I think Liverpool have won 7 trophies since 95.
I hear that. Big up Abdullah for the super set saying, brother Shez, any word on Sancho Neto? I'm assuming you sent this a while ago before we spoke, because we spoke about all these players already. So you definitely got your answer somewhere there. You're on mute, Shez.
It's abs in it, Staffy. I think he thinks I rate Sancho and Neto. I actually don't particularly care about them. Like that.
Abs.
Yeah, it's abs. Yeah, Sancho is a victim of the system right now. Neto is just another victim of the system. It's system. I don't really think the players are that poor. I think in a better system they could thrive.
Ches, can I ask you a question? You and Dan, like, I don't watch Chelsea. Listen, I'm a Liverpool guy. That's all I watch, really. I'm not like. Don't you guys think, like, with Chelsea, the issue you guys are having, there's no consistency in your formation? Like, like I see sometimes Neto on the left, sometimes on the right. If you look at Gakpo, you used to bounce him in it everywhere. now we found Gakpo in the right position on the left-hand side, and he's performing into higher levels. If you know what I mean. Don't you guys need something like that, like consistency in your formation for you guys to, you know, push forward in the future? If you know what I mean, guys, instead of like bouncing players from here and there, and then, you know, it just doesn't work.
You know what it is? I realize, I think Dan would agree with this, that he doesn't trust the squad. He didn't rate Felix.
Yeah.
Mudrik's been gone, so he's been kind of forced based of two reasons: not rating players and also like the availability of players to actually play people different positions. I think if he had a set 11 that wasn't injured all the time or wasn't out of form like Mudrik on the potential ban, I think we would see a more consistent 11.
Hi guys, I'm here from another channel. Unfortunately, Mo's internet is lagging out, so he messaged me. He's like, "Come end the stream, please." So big up to all of you. I know that
he was just sending me his login so I can end the stream whenever.
Khalas here, yalla. I'm gonna end. You have the login?
We're just reading
No, he
super
didn't
chats,
send
though,
it yet,
Sam.
so-
We're just reading super chats.
Which one are you at?
So right now, can you go to Dan Carlitos one? That's the next one we're going to.
Okay, but don't take forever because I'm live as well. So he said his nature is negative and hyperbolic. Yup, Dan has. I agree with you, Dan.
Right,
Dan
let's
has a
move on.
point.
Wait, so you're live on your
We'll move
channel?
on from that
Another
one, but
channel?
let's move
I'm
on.
literally live already. Spending money will be affected with no Champions League. 100%. How can you spend money without Champions League? You are correct, AMT. Big up to you for the super chat.
Facts.
Roman criticism is lazy. Clearly, I've had enough time to at least make us respectable again. If they made us worse at the end of Roman's time, 100% spot on right there, Abdullah. You get me? Roman brought you all your happy times. You get me? And yeah, big up to you.
I apologize for the inconvenience. My
يعني انت جبتني هون
4G
وهسه بدي ارجع
4G
اطلع كمان مره
4G went out completely.
خلينا نروح ابدا استريم انا يلا.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize for everyone. This is
that's
my
hilarious.
bad. It's
Judge
Egypt.
Staffy ran the show, Mo. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
apologize.
The chat
I'm really
said,
apologize to
since
I
I'm
said that was a
Egyptian, man.
crazy ending. The last hour of the show has been a bit mad.
Yeah,
Viewers,
Yeah,
I
but the
agree.
chat. Listen, the chat said I'm the most similar one to you here, so they wanted another Egyptian.
I apologize for everyone. It's just here in Egypt, when electricity goes out, 4G doesn't work. You guys, like cell
I
phones
know.
don't work.
When you
Try
said
to
the
pull
power
stuff.
is out, I knew it was over. I was like, oh
The
shit.
power is out. The problem is here. When the power is out, I tried even to call Staffy on WhatsApp. It doesn't go through. You can only send text. So you go down to 2G. And it's just, I apologize to everyone. Have you guys read the super chats?
We've got one to
last
go.
one.
Just one to go.
Joseph.
Yusuf is winning UEFA Champions League is a decline now. So what now? I don't know. You guys have done all these super chats.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Winning a Champions League is not a decline, Yusuf. Thank you so much. JW is saying Staffy better judge than Mo. I'm going to hand Staffy the keys. Staffy now has access to all the. But anyway, I want to thank
You didn't
everyone
send me
that
the
is here.
password yet. I was like, shit.
Guys,
Almost had it.
yeah, guys.
Almost
It's a
had
heated-
the footy judge
it's
Mo.
a heated conversation, and it is what it is. I kind of pride my channel that nothing happens on my channel that gets personal, but it is what it is. Sometimes people get just heated for whatever reason. Dan has points, Chez had points, and everyone had points, and I'm sure that everything will be sorted out. Just wanted to say that before we end the show. It's nothing personal here. It's just football talk. I promise you that. And I appreciate it. I know Rory left, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you all.